Hey guys, welcome to Green Bean Fiction. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Deku became successor of Batman, part 1. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is BNHA reacciona al sucesor de Batman by Jason5420. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. You could see a being that seemed to be a combination of several animals, which would be a dog, a bear, a mouse, etc. This was Nezu, the principal of the UA Hero Academy. He was waking up in a completely blank space. However, he was not alone. Around him were students from classes 3AA and 3B, the academy teachers, and some relatives of the students. The animal wondered where he was until he began to remember. Flashback: students, teachers and their families were seen in an auditorium. Nezu. Well, it is an honor to announce this today. I am truly proud to see this moment. I have great faith that they will be great heroes after all. They have already faced several adversities during their stay at UA. He said, making the family members and teachers applaud, being proud of the students of 3A and 3B. Thus the minutes passed where each student from each class came forward to receive their title that enabled them to officially become a hero. Everything went normally as in other years, but at the last moment, where the student Ako Midoriya received her title that officially designated her as a hero, being proudly seen by Inko and Toshinori, the roof would be destroyed by a Nomu with wings. Next to him, seats would begin to fall from these along with other villains among them, and the most dangerous, all for one. At that moment, the teachers acted quickly, managing to knock out several of them, either by Midnight's gas or the blasts of air that All Might launched with his punches. Several of the family members managed to get out, except for a few, who had to hide when they saw the exit being destroyed by a Nomu with 4 arms. Thus began a battle where the heroes were winning, but then they saw a purple crack begin to appear in the sky. Before everyone's eyes, little by little, they noticed how the crack increased in size, and little by little, everyone's vision was blinded by the light that emanated until everyone could only see white. It did not matter if they looked at the sky or the ground. If they covered their eyes, they simply saw a pure white space. Until without realizing it they all began to faint, which brings them to the present day. End of flashback. The director of the UA Academy, remembering what had happened, tried to wake up those who were with him. However, no one woke up. It was as if they were in a coma. The unidentified animal could only sigh as it sat waiting for everyone to wake up. So about 2 hours passed, during which time almost everyone had already woken up, with only Aizawa missing. Although several doubted that he was unconscious since he was wearing his sleeping bag. Nezu. Looks like we're all awake now. Midnight, there's no shortage. Nezu. Miss Kayama, let's be frank, Aizawa is awake. Aizawa. It's not true. I mean. Zzzzzzzzzzzzz. Hearing this, several people began to sweat. Cementos. But what kind of place is this? I can answer that. Said a voice that caught everyone's attention, seeing a well-dressed man with a mustache and an umbrella. Seeing him, many would be confused until Nezu approached. Nezu. Hello. Excuse me, but who are you? The Presence. It's a pleasure, Director Nezu. I am the Presence, the creator of the universe 3,230,480 or DC universe, as some of my friends say. Hearing this, everyone saw him as if he were crazy, but before the most impulsive did anything, the man spoke again. The Presence. Since I know you probably won't believe me, check this out. He said, extending one of his hands where several blue spheres similar to the Earth came out, but when touching them, several groups of people were seen fighting against other beings, something that surprised everyone. Toshinori. But what is this? The Presence. They are the different dimensions or lands as they are called in my universe. They are variants of the beings of my universe, each one fulfilling the same role in some and in others. No. Midnight. And why would we be here? The Presence. Oh, that, you see, in my universe, in, so to speak, event occurred that ended up affecting the lands of my universe, even the universes closest to mine, including yours. Ako. What kind of event? The Presence. I won't go into too much detail, but several Earths were destroyed, others were reset, and others remained the same. Yours was hurt, but don't worry, the creator of your universe is already fixing it, and I'm in charge of keeping you here until your universe is completely fixed. Nezu. I understand. Can I ask you one more question? The presence. Claro Nezu. Who are your children? The presence. They are, in themselves, all the beings of my universe, but those who were involved in the event were these. He said, showing a sphere where several people could be seen that they recognized as heroes. Ryoka. Are those heroes? The presence. That's right, this group is called Justice League. Although at first there weren't many, as time went by more heroes joined. Toshinori. Who were they at the beginning? The presence. It was them. The presence. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Detective Marciano y Hawkgirl. Seeing them, many were surprised and wondered what their quirks were. Nezu. Excuse me, Mr. Presence, but what are your quirks? The presence. They don't really have quirks as such, although some do have powers from birth, the vast majority don't. Hitsumi. And how the hell is that possible? Mitsuki. Respect, boss. He said, hitting her on the head in front of everyone who looked at them, and a drop of sweat fell from their eyes. All sad face, we already know where he got his attitude from. The presence. Well, you better watch this, he said, making some papers appear in front of everyone with some information about the League members along with their identities. Superman Clark Kent Raza. Kryptonian skills. Super strength, speed, stamina, agility, reflexes, durability, senses and longevity. Superhuman acuity, heat vision, X-ray vision, frozen breath. Invulnerability, rapid healing factor, flight, Batman Izuku Wayne. Race. Human skills. Maximum physical condition, martial arts master. Master at arms, expert shooter, advanced intellect, espionage. Wonder Woman Diana Prince. Race. Amazon. Skills. Super strength, stamina and speed. Immortality. Healing factor. Highlights. Flight. Highly developed fighting skills. Hand-to-hand combat expert. Being able to speak any language of any person you meet. Flash Wally West. Race. Human. Skills. Movement. Thought and reaction speed increased to the speed of light. Green Lantern. John Stewart. Race. Human. Skills. Semi-invulnerability. Ability to project solid constructions of light. Flight. Launch energy blasts. Detective Marciano Martian Manhunter. Race. Green Martian. Skills. Superfuerza. Superhuman speed. Telepathy. Telekinesis. Accelerated regeneration. Intangibility. Invisibility. Shapeshifting. Flight 9. Heightened senses. Hawkgirl Shara Hole. Raza. Thanagariana. Skills. Flight. Superhuman strength. Super sharp vision. Increased healing, regeneration capacity. Advanced hand-to-hand combat skills. Upon reading it, many were shocked by the large number of abilities that most of the group had. They could easily say that they easily kicked everyone's ass, even All Might at his best. Inko. Wait, Izuku. I ask when I see the name of his ex-son on one of the papers. Ako. Mom, it must just be a coincidence. After all, Izune couldn't have ended up in another universe. The presence. Yes, well, actually it is the same. Upon hearing this, all the green-haired man's companions and relatives remained static. Ryoka. How? The presence. At the time they were chasing young Izuku, an event called Flashpoint was happening in my universe, in that as in today's event there was a fault between the closest universe, which is yours, which caused young Izuku to be taken to my universe on Earth 1. Hearing this, everyone was speechless, but only Inko reacted by quickly approaching the creator. Inko. Please bring us back, he needs us. The presence. No, he doesn't need you, he needs his friends and family, which you are not. Hitsumi. Not a damn, so who are your friends and family, huh? The presence. His friends, although he denies it, are the members of the Justice League, and his family are his grandfather, his wife, his adopted sons and daughters, his younger brother and his biological son. He said, leaving everyone in shock. Inko. I'm a grandmother. The presence. Oh right, you see in my universe, time is different, 1 year in your world is 10 years in mine. He said, causing several to faint in surprise while Inko fell to her knees on the ground. Her son, her baby, was no longer that, now he was an adult, with children, with friends, with a life made, and being realistic, he would not leave him for her or the rest. She knew that Izuku would not forgive her easily, but she hoped to continue being a mother to him and that in time he would forgive her, but that was already lost. He already had his life, a life without her. Eri for her part was in shock. Her father now had more children, although in the girl's mind she thought that was not bad and that she could still go with Izuku and be his daughter. As for Ako, she was just like her mother. Her brother already had his whole life without her, without his friends he made at Ua. All of that would only remain as a dream. Toshinori Yagi, Izuku's teacher and hero, had several mixed feelings. On one hand, he was sad that he couldn't guide him to be a hero, and he also felt bad for Inko, Ako and Eri. However, he couldn't deny that he was also proud and a little happy to see how the green-haired man achieved his dream and was a hero, even helping with an issue that not even he could, such as a problem of universes, dimensions, Earths. As for the green-haired man's lovers, girls who were close to confessing to the freckled man if it weren't for the proof of his betrayal, they were devastated. The boy they loved was already married and had a child, a hard blow for Uraraka, Mei, Ryoka, Hitsumi, Najire and Momo. They knew they could not do anything anymore. The green-haired man already had his partner, and to make things more difficult, everything was from another universe. They only had to accept it even if it hurt their souls. Izuku, that boy they fell in love with, had already forgotten them. Everyone was silent for a few minutes until Endeavor approached the presence. Endeavor. Sir. The presence. Tell me, Mr. Todoroki. Endeavor. Could you show us how the boy achieved this? Or how he is? I asked, leaving more than one surprised. Natsuo. What do you mean, old man? Endeavor. When we saw the boy's papers, it said he had no powers, he only had martial arts and a great intellect, which makes me curious about what happened to make him lose his quirk and how he managed to become a hero without powers. Upon hearing the flaming hero, many realized that detail, which made those who knew about One for All doubt, coldly thinking that this power could have been lost in another universe. The presence. So what's that, huh? Okay, he said, creating a large blue sphere that everyone could see. The presence. Make yourselves comfortable, I'll show you how Izuku became Batman. Everyone was looking at the blue sphere, which began to distort until it showed the image of an alley. In the alley you could see how some rays began to be created until a glow occurred from which Izuku emerged, who was quite injured by the attempt to capture the heroes. The green-haired man was confused by where he was. He remembered perfectly that he had not entered an alley. In fact, he had gone into the Ua forest to lose them, something he did not achieve thanks to the security cameras. The teachers, seeing Izuku's state, could only lower their heads, remembering how they didn't give the green-haired boy time to explain himself. The freckled one then decided to take a better look at the alley, noticing a red flower in it and a sign that said, Crime Alley. Izuku, seeing that, was surprised by the name, but it was not important. The important thing was his injuries, which were taking their toll. The young man was going to leave until he remembered the news that he was a traitor. He knew that if he left, the first thing they would do would be catch him and then take him to jail, something he did not want. He could treat his wounds himself, but it was risky as he had no equipment or medical knowledge. The green-haired man was thinking until he began to feel dizzy due to the blood loss he suffered. The only thing he could see before falling unconscious was someone falling from the roof of the building and standing in front of him. The young man would only fall unconscious before the gaze of that shadow that took him in his arms, taking him away from that place. Seeing this, many became worried, but at the same time they noticed the silhouette of that shadow better. Shoto. That silhouette, Tokiyami. It was like Midoriya's suit in that universe. Saying that, they saw the presence waiting for an explanation. The presence. Young Izuku was not the first Batman, but the... By saying that, everyone understood that the man who saved Izuku was the first Batman. Kaminari. But isn't it too much of a coincidence that I was right there? The presence. His parents died there. He went to visit that place to remember them. That left many surprised, and those who had lost, either a father or a mother, understood the pain of the vigilant bat. The green-haired man was waking up, noticing several bandages all over his body and the room that seemed to be very luxurious. Izuku. Where am I? How did I get here? Why do I have so many bandages? And most importantly, where am I? The young man thought as he saw the place possibly being the room of a millionaire. Momo. Well, it's a normal room. Uraraka, said the millionaire. At that moment, while the green-haired boy was looking at the place, he didn't notice two people entering the room. I see you're already awake and aware of your surroundings, he said, drawing the green-haired man's attention, seeing that he was a man with black hair and blue eyes and the other was an older man, bald and with a mustache. Izuku. Who are you guys? Alfred. Calm down, young man, my name is Alfred Pennyworth, I am Master Bruce Wayne's butler, he said, the man with a mustache and a dad introducing himself, introducing the black-haired man next to him. Izuku. How did I get here? Bruce. Before that, tell us, what is your name and why were you so hurt? Izuku. My name is Izuku, just Izuku, and I was hurt by. I couldn't say that the heroes beat me or else they'll take me with them, besides they seem to be Americans, now that I think about it, how am I speaking English? I was hurt because my so-called friends and family believed a lie from me and hit me. Bruce. I see, look, when I found you you had many wounds, burns, bruises, broken bones and more injuries that don't match a beating, so. Bruce. Tell the truth. The man's voice had changed, becoming harsher and more intimidating, which surprised the green-haired man. Nezu. I managed to discover young Izuku's lie through his medical report and I also noticed how he looked at him, attentive to every slightest movement to detect any lies. He thought, seriously, what the hell is Nezu? Toshinori. Wayne, so he adopted Izuku. The presence. That's right. Izuku. How? Bruce. From your medical report and because I know when someone is lying, you better tell the truth. The green-haired man, seeing himself cornered, ended up sighing and starting to tell everything that happened to him. From being told he had no quirk, the abuse of his school, as was done with One for All, his stay at UA, until his betrayal. Throughout the story, Bruce and Alfred were watching the boy's every slightest movement to detect whether he was lying or not. Once Izuku finished telling his story and why he was so hurt, he noticed how serious Bruce and Alfred were. Alfred. Young Izuku, I'm afraid to tell you that quirks don't exist in this world. Izuku. What, Bruce? Tell me, before you appeared in that alley, what was the last thing you saw? Izuku. I saw some lightning being generated and then I was blinded and appeared there. Akko. It's very similar to what happened to us, only without the lightning. Mirio. Excuse me, but does that hero called Flash have anything to do with electricity? The presence. No. It's with the Speed Force, but you'll see that later, he said, to which everyone nodded and continued watching the sphere. Bruce. I see, look, quirks don't exist in this place, so what will you do with this information? Hearing this, the green-haired man looked at Bruce in surprise. Bruce. I mean, you have superpowers, you could take over the world or something. Izuku. No, I don't want that, I just wanted to be a hero, but how did I get here? After those words his classmates, teachers and family felt bad because they had forgotten that Izuku had none of that in mind. Besides, why did he want it? After his innocence was declared, many thought about that. What did Izuku gain by betraying them? He already had a family, friends, power, lovers, he lacked nothing. However, they believed that he would betray them. Why? For nothing. Izuku had no reason to betray them, he had no reason, he had no hatred, he had no envy, he had none of that. Bruce. I'll look into that for now, Alfred. Alfred. I'll take care of it, sir. Bruce. Good luck, the black-haired man said as he left the place. Alfred. Well, young Izuku, tell me, what are your questions? Izuku. Oh yeah, well, how did I get here? Alfred. Master Bruce found him, seeing his wounds he brought him to the mansion to be treated. Izuku. Do you know about medicine? Alfred. Quite a lot. Izuku. Well, how did you find me? Alfred. Master Bruce went to leave a flower in that place since he lost his parents there. Izuku. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have asked. Alfred. Nothing's wrong, anything else? Izuku. Where in the world am I? Alfred. He's in the United States, to be more specific in Gotham. Izuku. Well, why do you believe me? Alfred. Izuku. I mean, I'm literally saying that I lived in a world with heroes and superpowers, however, here there aren't any, why do you believe me? Alfred. The truth is that there are people with powers, not quirks, but people who obtained powers in an external, more unnatural way, apart from the fact that after aliens, gods and the like, the fact that you come from another universe is the most normal thing in the world. Izuku. What? What? Alfred. Oh right, well he has a lot to learn about this world, for now I recommend he rest, his wounds are not completely healed. The green-haired man would nod as the butler was about to leave, but not before saying something to him. Alfred. Dinner will be in a few minutes, young Izuku. If you need anything else, just press the button on the remote control on the nightstand. Izuku. Okay, thanks Alfred. He said, to which the man nodded and left, leaving Izuku. Kirishima. Do gods exist? Abara. That was obvious, God is everywhere. Kendo. Calm down, Abara. Setsuna. More importantly, do aliens exist? Shoto. Didn't we see some sheets in Chapter 1 with information about Superman and Martian Manhunter who are aliens? All. Chapter 1, Shoto. Forget it. While Izuku was resting, Alfred walked to the ground floor of the mansion to press a button, which was inside a statue, which opened a secret door. The butler went down until he reached a cave that had a large amount of technology. Seeing the bat cave, everyone just stood with their jaws on the floor. Endeavor. It's easily bigger than my agency. Alfred. Did you discover something, Master Bruce? Bruce. More or less Alfred. Said Bruce, who was in the alley of crime, where his silhouette was hidden by the darkness being visible, his eyes that were only white. Bruce. It's Barry's speed force energy. Alfred. Does Mr. Allen have something to do with young Izuku? Bruce. No, he wouldn't bring him to Gotham. Something happened, but not with the Flash of this earth. Alfred. Well then we confirm that young Izuku should not go to Arkham. Bruce. That's right, Ryoka. What is Arkham? The Presence. Arkham Asylum is where all of Gotham's mentally unstable people go. Aizawa. So a mental hospital. The Presence. That's right. At that Alfred would see how a red dot was generated on the computer screen. Alfred. Amo Bruce. Bruce. Got it. Elsewhere, two criminals were seen leaving a jewelry store with several bags until one of them fell to the ground with a cut on his leg. This scared them when they realized who it was, so they looked around until one of them had the idea to look up, and it had been about 2 weeks since Izuku had arrived on Earth 1, where Bruce, seeing that he didn't have a home, no papers or anything, took care of that, passing him off as an orphan who lost his parents in a fire where his birth papers and other things were burned. Aside from using the Bat computer to enter Izuku's data into the government files, making it seem like Izuku always existed. Kirishima. How did he get into the government bases? The Presence. Yes, it's not the first time they've done it, although what should be surprising is how they didn't discover it. Nezu. Now that you mention it, I think I've heard of that. Apart from taking care of the issue of his papers, there was something else left, his legal guardian. Obviously he couldn't give him a complete fake family, since if they investigated the family they would realize that those people didn't exist, so Bruce decided to talk about this with Izuku, having an idea in mind. Izuku. So, are they going to send me to an orphanage? Bruce. That's an option. You're 16, so you'll be sent there until you decide to leave once you're of age. Izuku. There is no other option. Bruce. Yes, that would be to adopt you. Izuku. Bruce. What you heard, if I adopt you you'll have a better chance, apart from the fact that in Gotham orphanages are not very reliable. Juro. They are not reliable. Shoto. It's not like we're watching The Promised Neverland. Izuku. Why, Alfred? Young Izuku, there is much you don't know about the city and what happens to the orphans. He said seriously while out of the corner of his eye he saw an owl in the window, which flew away from there. Aizawa. Maybe it could be a mafia that is missing orphans, but why? Vlad King. Most likely to make them members of his mafia or to make work like drug trafficking easier. Endeavor. Don't even remind me. He said, remembering about 20 children kneeling with their heads on the wall while around them there were several packages with different drugs that they carried. Bruce. So, what do you say, Izuku? Bruce asked the green-haired man who was left thinking about his options. Izuku. Option 1, go to an orphanage that is not safe according to Mr. Alfred, and for the 2 weeks I've been with him he seems to be very trustworthy, apart from the fact that I really don't know the city and I don't know what awaits me outside. Option 2, be adopted by Mr. Bruce and take over in the future Wayne Enterprises, in which I have no idea and could lead to ruin. Option 3, escape and see what happens to me. I choose 2 better. Izuku. I accept. Bruce. Well, these processes usually take a year, 2, 3 or even more. Izuku. So, Bruce. But with the money and influence I have in a short time, I would say that in 6 months the adoption would be complete. Izuku. But I wouldn't stay in some orphanage for that long. Alfred. Calm down, young Izuku. Master Bruce will make sure that you can stay during the adoption process. Tokiyami. Money does help. Momo. Not much. Uraraka. Say it for you, Dada. Izuku. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bruce. Bruce. Don't thank me, he said, leaving Izuku and Alfred behind. Alfred. And here I thought there would never be another Wayne generation. I guess I should call you Master now. Izuku. No need, Alfred. Alfred. As you say, Sir Izuku. Izuku. That less please. Alfred. It's fine, Lord Izuku. Izuku. You know what? Just tell me, I love Izuku. Alfred. Okay, Master Izuku. Izuku. And I thought he would say, it's okay, I love Izuku. So the green-haired man would retire to his room, which is the one seen in the previous chapter, staying thinking about something. And that was One for All. I've noticed for a while that they don't hate using it. I tried to communicate with the former carriers but it came to nothing. Toshinori. Is it true Izuku still has One for All? What happened to him that made him not be able to use it? Did it get erased? No. I know how it feels to lose it. Izuku would notice right away that he doesn't have it. However, if he tries he should still be able to feel it. The green-haired man tried to activate it one last time, but nothing. He could still feel said quirk in him, but he couldn't activate it, as if a higher force was preventing it. So he stopped trying and went around the mansion looking for Alfred to find out where the gym was. Monoma. And how do you know there is a gym? How did Izuku know there was a gym? He didn't know, it was just intuition. After all, the mansion had a movie theater, a giant pool, a tennis court, a soccer field, a basketball court, and other things that wouldn't make it strange for it to have a gym. Monoma. I didn't say anything. Familia Yaoyorozu. Not even our house has all that, and Alfred is in charge of that whole mansion. The green-haired boy spent a good while around the mansion looking for either Alfred or Bruce, until he found the butler who was moving a pendulum clock. But what surprised Izuku was that for a few moments he saw how behind the clock there was an entrance where some stairs went down. Katsuki. He already discovered the entrance to that cave. Akko. But wasn't the entrance another one? Kendo. There must be multiple entries. Izuku. Alfred. Alfred. MMH. Oh, Master Izuku, what do you need? Izuku. Well, I wanted to know where there is a gym. Alfred. Sure, let me guide you. The man said as he retreated with Izuku to the mansion's gym, where on the way the green-haired man ended up asking Pennyworth about the clock. Izuku. Sorry Alfred, but that watch. Alfred. What's wrong with that watch? Love Izuku. Izuku. Is there a secret door or entrance behind it? Alfred. What are you saying, Master Izuku? I think you watched a lot of movies last night. Inko. It's not strange. He said, remembering when he heard noises in his son's room and noticed that he was watching a superhero movie until late at night. Izuku. It's not. Alfred. Do you want to see the security camera footage from the cinema? Izuku. I mean, I watched a lot of movies yesterday, but the point is, I'm sure there's an entrance somewhere. Alfred. Do you want us to go back and check it out? Izuku. Of course. Mitsuki. So Izuku discovered the secret cave. Hitsumi. So old she looks. He said, giving the older woman a vein that hit her on the head. In this way, both returned to the previous room, where Izuku would move the clock by looking at a wall. The room was in complete disbelief upon seeing him. just as Izuku had seen the entrance perfectly. How was it possible that it disappeared as if by magic? Izuku. What? A- and the secret entrance. Alfred. You shouldn't stay up late watching movies, sir, that could affect you. Did you rest well? Izuku. Why yeah. Sorry Alfred, I thought. Alfred. Calm down, now let's go. I didn't show him where the gym is. He said, to which Izuku nodded, embarrassed for accusing Alfred of a secret room that wasn't there, or good if it was. Kaminari. I'm already confused. Is there a secret entrance? There isn't a secret entrance. Juro. Calm down, we'll see it now for sure. In the Batcave, Bruce was watching the room through a security camera, and then he pressed a button that deactivated a holographic disc that was at the top of the entrance and would move the clock back to its place. Bruce. It was close. Mandalay. So I was already prepared in case someone discovered an entrance to camouflage it with an illusion. Fuyumi. It's a little scary that he's so prepared. Returning to Izuku, he was guided by Alfred to the gym. Once they arrived, Alfred left to continue with his work while Izuku stayed in the gym, but not before apologizing again to Alfred for what happened. Inko just smiled at seeing her son apologizing. She still had those moments when Izuku dropped a glass or did something minimally wrong and she apologized for 3 days straight. The butler, after telling him how for the 10th time nothing was happening, would withdraw to take another entrance to the Batcave, watching Bruce on the Bat computer investigating the records of a guy dressed as a scarecrow. Alfred. Coffee, sir. Bruce just took the cup and drank from it while he continued looking at the files. Alfred. You know young Izuku almost discovered a. Bruce. I know, I activated the illusionary disc before he realized it. Alfred. Well, he has a good eye and great training. Present Mike. Looking at his hero notebooks, he really was one. He said, remembering when they inspected his room and found the multiple notebooks with notes of his skills and weaknesses, from the simplest to the most elaborate. Bruce, hearing this, turned from his chair to look at him seriously. Bruce. What do you mean? Alfred. Master Bruce, he could be a good. Bruce. No. Don't you dare say what I think you were going to say. Alfred. I'm just saying. But then an alert would sound, seeing a red dot on the Bat computer screen, so Bruce took his mask and put it on to look at Alfred. Bruce. He will never be Robin. He said to retreat to the Batmobile and go to that place. While Alfred just sighed sadly as he looked at a glass case with a suit inside. Alfred. The butler just sat at the Bat computer waiting to see how he could help Bruce while also thinking of Izuku as a possible Robin. It had been 2 months since Izuku had arrived at Wayne Manor. Since then the green-haired man spent his time training and studying. This last part was taken care of by Alfred since not having adopted him they had not been able to enroll him in a school. Although, for Izuku, going to a school would be 1,000 times better, this was because of how strict Alfred was, even more so than Aizawa. But that also helped Izuku increase his intelligence, being praised by Alfred. Now we could see Izuku, Alfred and Bruce having breakfast while the news was on TV. Izuku. Scarecrow. What kind of name is that? He said, looking at a news story that showed a picture of a man named Jonathan Cornell and on the other side they showed him in his scarecrow suit. Nezu. Scarecrow. What kind of abilities does he have? Midnight. In the image he seems to have a green gas in his right hand, maybe it's like my quirk. The Presence. Similar, but instead of producing sleep, they produce hallucinations with your worst fears. He said, leaving the most fearful surprised and scared. Bruce. He uses that name because of a trauma from his past. He used to be bullied by being compared to a scarecrow because of his thin appearance, hence his name. He said seriously, surprising Izuku with Bruce's information. Izuku. How do you know? Shoto. Because he's Batman. Fuyumi. But he doesn't know that. Shoto. You don't know the sister referent. He said, leaving Fuyumi confused as well as several others. I laughed. Well, luckily they gave me a discount for being a patient for so many years, they treat me well. The green-haired man asked confusedly, to which Bruce looked at him. Bruce. It's public information, interviews, statements from him, it's all there. Izuku. And, what abilities do they have? I mean, he's a villain, he must have something. Bruce. More or less, he managed to create a gas that makes people delude themselves with their worst fears. Izuku. Wow, and how did they stop him? With that he could beat anyone. Bruce. Thanks to the efforts of the police. Alfred. And Batman, sir, I didn't forget him. Izuku. Batman. Alfred. He is, so to speak, a hero. Bruce. He's not a hero, he's a vigilante, call him what you want, but not a hero. Toshinori. Don't you consider yourself a hero? The presence. Mr. Bruce sees himself as a vigilante, not a hero like Superman or Wonder Woman. Akko. But why? The presence. Because he doesn't feel like he gives hope to civilians like them, he feels like he scares criminals, that's all. Alfred. What's up, Master Bruce? Bruce. I'm just telling the truth. Alfred. Well, you're right, heroes aren't grumpy, with a forced voice and a noticeable frown. Izuku. Alfred, are you talking about Batman? Or Bruce? I asked, laughing a little next to the butler while Bruce sighed in annoyance. Inko. It seems they get along well. Aizawa. It seems they joined forces to annoy Bruce. Bruce. Anyway, I'm going to work. Alfred. First of all, I love Bruce, he said, handing him a ticket. Bruce. And this? Alfred. It's your ticket to the Gators season tonight. Bruce. Tonight? I can't, I have to. Alfred. Working at the company all day. I understand your privacy, sir, but you should also appear on the radar from time to time. He said, making Bruce sigh again, knowing what the butler really meant. Bruce. Okay, but just this once. Alfred. I doubt it. He said with a small smile, watching Bruce leave the mansion for Wayne Enterprises. Izuku. Doesn't he go out much? Alfred. I don't notice. Izuku. And the previous parties you told me about? Alfred. He stopped doing them a long time ago. Hey, I still remember how Miss Selena asked him to after seeing him flirting with some women. Izuku. All. Sell already. Alfred. His ex-wife. Izuku. Oh, and what happened? Alfred. Someday you'll know, young Izuku. Izuku. You and Bruce are very mysterious about various topics. Alfred. It's not that, it's just that these are things that we will tell you in time. Izuku. Okay, the green-haired man said, giving up, as he left his plate to wash, and then left the room to go to his own, thinking about something. For weeks he has been seeing these hiding places, or secret passages, but every time he goes to confirm them, they are blocked by a wall as if by magic, something that left the freckled man confused. But tonight, without anyone noticing, he was going to find one of those hiding places and finally remove his doubts about Alfred and Bruce. The green-haired boy waited until it was already very dark, like 5:10 in the morning. Knowing that Alfred got up at 6 o'clock to make breakfast, this left him 50 minutes to look, more than enough. Kaminari. We bet they run into a wall. Minor. I give 3,000. Kirishima. Doi 5,000. Katsuki. Doi 20.000. Mitsuki. Don't even think about it. Shinso. I bet 100,000 that he finds an entrance. The green-haired man quietly slipped into the mansion until he reached the hiding place of the clock, the one he kept under surveillance since something didn't add up regarding it. So moving it, noticing the entrance is challenged, so he would enter, seeing some stairs going down. News. Hagwon. He said, receiving the money from everyone, and Katsuki received a blow to the head from his mother. Izuku. This is very strange, is there a basement? But what would be so bad about it? Unless there's something wrong. The green-haired man would go down the stairs, which were not few, until he reached the exit. Izuku. Finally. I can't imagine what it would be like to climb this, they should put an elevator. He said before noticing the bat cave. Izuku. What is this place? And why is it here? Scream of the impression alerting the bats that they had. But then the green-haired man heard something, and when he looked down he noticed a car parked in the space. Kendo. Have you finished your patrol? Nezu. He is a night watchman, he goes out at night and returns at dawn. Present Mike. Look, it's you, Shota. But with money. He said, looking at Aizawa, who just took out a juice and drank it, ignoring his friend. Izuku. Oh no, That was what he managed to say before hiding behind some pillars that held the different floors of the base. The green-haired boy stayed there until he heard something being shot, and then he heard something fall on the same floor he was on. Although he was tempted to look at what happened, he chose to stay in his hiding place until that person left the place. So about 2 or 3 minutes passed where the green-haired man remained hidden until he heard footsteps moving away from the place where he was. Izuku. Uff. He sighed as he came out of his hiding place. Only to bump into the person standing there, seeing that it was Batman. Nezu. Wow, that can be scary. Aizawa. He uses stealth, he's like a ninja. Midnight. So it's you with money and edge shots martial arts. The man looked stoically at Izuku, who was nervous as hell, but inside the bat's mind he cursed everything he could. Batman. Who are you? And what are you doing here? How did you get here? Answer. He said, scaring Izuku more with his look. The atmosphere in the cave was quite tense. No one said anything. Batman was starting to get annoyed at Izuku's lack of response, but before speaking he would be interrupted by applause that resonated throughout the cave. Alfred. My young master, I must say I'm impressed by your infiltration abilities. Izuku. Alfred. Batman. You brought it. Alfred. Negative, I love Bruce. Izuku. Bruce. The green-haired man asked in shock as the bat looked annoyed at Alfred, who made a surprised face. Alfred. Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for the young man to know the truth, Master Bruce. Kaminari. Is it sarcasm? Juro. What do you think? Batman. Ah, he sighed as he took off his hood, showing his face to Izuku. Bruce. We need to talk seriously, he said, looking at Izuku, who was scared by those words. Later, we could see the 3 inhabitants of Wayne Manor in the mansion's living room, with Bruce sitting in front of Alfred and Izuku, the latter of whom was between shock and fear. Bruce. Well, Izuku. Well, I had seen some secret passages and out of curiosity I went into one when they were sleeping. Bruce. Alfred. I was in another part of the mansion. Bruce. Less than a few minutes ago I asked you something and you were at the bat computer. Inko. So that means he was in the cave. Toshinori. But why would I let Izuku in? Alfred. Don't check the cameras, Master Bruce, I'm sorry. Bruce just looked seriously at Alfred, knowing it was a lie since the cameras had an alert system. It was impossible for Alfred not to know that Izuku was in that room. It was obvious that the butler did it on purpose. Bruce. Why, Alfred? Well, I felt that if the young master should know. Izuku. This morning you told me that you would tell me things in time. Alfred. True, and I never specified the time, young master. Kirishima. Is it just me or do you have really good answers for any question? Shoto. He's Batman's adoptive father, what do you think? Bruce. Why did you let the Batcave go? Alfred. I already answered that question, sir. Bruce. No, because you took it, really. Alfred. As I said, Master Izuku deserves to know the truth and I could also help him handle all of this. He said, noticing Bruce's stoic look. Cements. So you want me to help Bruce patrol? Yui. Isn't he too young for that? He's still 2 years younger than us. Monoma. Well, there are no quirks there, most of the things are technology, so giving it a good one wouldn't be a problem. Bruce. No, he's not going to help me with this, he's not going to fight those crazy people. Alfred. When did I say you'll fight, Master Bruce? Did I say help, maybe like I do, or do you want me to fight with you? I won't object, although that question should be asked of Master Izuku. He said while looking at Izuku, who was in shock seeing the whole situation, not wanting to interrupt the discussion between the guard and the butler. Bruce. Listen Izuku, you won't tell anyone this, the first time you speak I'll kick you out of the house, understood? Izuku. Yes, he said, frightened by Bruce's sudden shout and statement, which had surprised Alfred, who approached and poof. Everyone seeing that was surprised, they didn't expect Alfred to hit Bruce for what he said to Izuku. Alfred. Don't say something like that again, the man said seriously, to which Bruce just looked at him and then looked at Izuku. Bruce. Sorry Izuku, it wasn't my intention, you can help Alfred and enter the Batcave if you want. he said, and then left the room, leaving Izuku and Alfred. Fuyumi. It reminds me of the time my grandparents found out what Dad did to Mom, only he ignored them. Izuku. What just happened? Alfred. I regret my outburst, young master, but it is also my duty to ensure that Master Bruce maintains his relations. Shinso. Manners above all. Izuku. Well. Alfred, could you tell me why Bruce is? Alfred. Batman? Sit down, young man, this is going to be a long story, he said as he sat in front of Izuku, who did the same on his chair. Alfred. Well, it all started about 30 years ago. Young Bruce was a 10-year-old boy who lived with his parents and me in the mansion. Everything was pretty good. Masters Thomas and Martha were good parents. Everything was going well in the life of Master Bruce. Until one night, leaving a movie, they took a shortcut to get to the mansion faster, an alley where a thief shot them, killing the Masters Thomas and Martha. Izuku. The alley was. Alfred. The same one where Master Bruce found you. After that event, Master Bruce swore to become a vigilante to eliminate crime from Gotham. Izuku. Does he have any power? Alfred. More than being a millionaire? No other. Master Bruce took advantage of his fortune and went to the best schools in the world. He trained all possible martial arts, as well as escape and detective techniques, and this lasted until he turned 20 years old, where he met a man named Ra's al Ghul who trained him for 5 years to become a murderer, which he failed to achieve. Izuku. And then? Alfred. After Master Bruce returned to Gotham, between him, me and Mr. Lucius, we created the Batman suit. Izuku. And why Batman? Alfred. The Master was afraid of bats as a child, so he wanted to make that fear, the fear of criminals. Alfred. After that he was protecting the city until today. He married Miss Selina, but it didn't work out. Izuku. Why didn't it work? Alfred. Things I'll tell him in time. Momo. He hides several things and leaves others in the light. Ryoka. I don't think she'll tell Izuku everything at once, apart from the fact that she's only been with them for 2 months. Izuku. Will that time be long, or should I wait a day? Alfred. It will be long, so write it down so you don't forget. The butler, who was invited by Izuku, said with a smile. Ink. They really get along. I'm glad Izuku has someone like Alfred by his side. Alfred. But anyway, do you want to see the Batcave? Izuku. Of course, he said, getting up from the armchair, and accompanied by Alfred they went to see the Batcave. We could see Izuku, who was in front of the Bat computer, seeing Bruce's point of view, who was in an abandoned factory. Batman. Something recognizable? I asked as the white eyes of his mask flickered slightly in a blue tone. Izuku. Nothing, there's no trace of anything, he said while the security guard looked around, until on the computer screen he saw something approaching the factory. Izuku. Bruce. 3 vans are parking. Batman just nodded, and using the Batclaw he would climb to the roof, where he would use the darkness to camouflage himself. Then we saw 2 men opening the factory doors while 4 others brought in some fairly large boxes. Upon seeing these boxes, Batman would activate the X-ray vision of his mask, managing to see several weapons and some tubes with a liquid. Aizawa. That would be very useful to me, he thought as he watched Batman use X-ray vision. Minor. X-ray vision. Imagine the possibilities. He would have continued screaming if Suyu's tongue hadn't hit him. This was seen by the girl's parents, who wanted to start beating him up because their daughters complained about his constant attempts to look at them naked. But luckily for the purple hair, this was avoided by the teachers, who told the parents that they would punish him upon his return. Batman. Izuku, can you identify if it says anywhere what the liquid is called? The green-haired man would zoom in on the image and start searching, finding nothing. Izuku. No, I guess you'll have to bring her in for a test. Batman. So it seems, he said, watching as they were leaving to bring more boxes, leaving behind one who was grabbed by Batman and taken to the ceiling to hang him from his legs. While his companions brought another of the boxes, leaving another one behind that would be taken by Batman, leaving it in the same place and in the same way. There were only 4 of them left, so one realized this. Criminal 3. Hey, where are the others? Criminal 4. That's right, Michael and Aiden are missing. Criminal 1. Shit, listen, don't separate, Let's butt heads and watch. As soon as you see something move, shoot." The other three, hearing this, nodded and formed up with their weapons pointed forward. The four were waiting for Batman to appear, but they didn't see how a metal sphere fell in the middle of them, from which smoke began to emerge, leaving the criminals unable to be seen, where one of them disappeared and then heard being beaten. His two companions, upon hearing him, went to try to help him, but when they came out of the smoke they only saw him hanging from a post. Criminal 3. "Shit, shit, shit, fuck Cobblepot, let's get out of here," he said, to which his partner nodded, but looking back they would see how Batman would fall. The two criminals, upon seeing him, were paralyzed for a few seconds that Batman took advantage of to send them a batarang that disarmed them. Both, now trembling, only saw the guard who approached them and without saying a word cracked his knuckles. A little while later, both criminals could be seen hanging and with several bruises while the Bat called the Batmobile to continue patrolling. Everyone watched the scene in surprise, especially the professional heroes when they saw how, without powers, Bruce managed to disarm and knock out those armed criminals. Cements. Amazing, I managed to disarm it and defeat them without even being noticed. Mandalas. Do you think it would be the same if it were in our universe? Nezu. From what the presents told us and some comments from Alfred, that world has people with powers since before the arrival of young Izuku. It is true that in our universe there are more people with powers, but I am sure that they would prepare for it. Aizawa. Besides, it's not like a quirk is 100% necessary to be a hero, but look at me. Tenya. But sensei, you have quirk. Aizawa. Yes, it's worse for deactivating other quirks. As for combat skills, I've had to rely on my bandages and martial arts, and look at me. I'm a success. Many, even though some do not share that thought 100%, had to say that it was true. After all, it wasn't just Aizawa who was like that. The hero killer Stain was the same. His quirk didn't give him a physical improvement but only paralyze Lady Nagant too, since she had a rifle for an arm, something that could be matched with a normal rifle. Even Endeavor, despite his quirk being one of the strongest, it didn't increase his physical strength. Although he didn't use it too much, he had to admit that he agreed. This was heard by Toshinori, who mentally patted his forehead knowing that they were telling the truth. He couldn't help but remember the time he told Izuku that he couldn't even be a hero without a quirk, knowing that he knew people without augmentation quirks or even Izuku's own companions had quirks. Debatable, they weren't the best in several, something that could be contrasted with artifacts that he himself could propose to David. Batman. Izuku. Izuku. Are you Bruce? Batman. I already have the samples, I'll go to the Batcave to give them to you. Go ahead and prepare the lab part. I want an analysis and tell me what you find. Izuku. Okay, although you should also go investigate that Cobblepot they mentioned. Batman. Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, I know where he is. Izuku. The Penguin. Batman. It's his nickname in the criminal world. He said as he watched the Batmobile arrive. The guard would get into the car to quickly go to the Batcave and after that, go to interrogate the Penguin. Midnight. Could they call him the Penguin? There are no quirks in that place that would make him look like one. Shoto. Bruce is called Batman because he dresses as a bat. Maybe the same thing happens but with a penguin. Message. Fucking shitty furries. The purple hair thought, thinking of Batman and a man dressed as Penguin. When the bat arrived, he left one of the tubes with the liquid, which was green in color, and then he left to where he could find the Penguin. While Izuku, he was with said tube in his hand and then put a sample in one of the machines in the Batcave that began to analyze it. A few minutes or maybe an hour passed, and the machine finally finished analyzing the sample, showing the results. Izuku would be surprised when he saw the data and would look at the tube with surprise. Izuku. I must tell Bruce. Everyone, seeing Izuku's reaction, wondered what the formula could do, so they decided to see what would happen. With Batman minutes ago, the security guard had arrived at the Gotham casino that was run by the said mobster. The bat would throw the bat claw towards the top of the casino where the Penguin was, along with several bodyguards who were knocked down by Batman when he entered, breaking the window. Batman. Cobblepot, he said, looking at the man who took the pipe out of his mouth when he saw Batman. Several people, seeing Cobblepot's height and appearance, realized that they called him Penguin because of his height and the peculiar shape of his nose. Penguin. Batman, what brings you here? Batman. There's no need for mystery or innocent cobblepot. Penguin. I seriously don't know what you're talking about. Batman. One of your employees spoke. He said as the short man clicked his tongue. Penguin. If it helps, neither the weapons nor the Titan were for me. Batman. Titan, he whispered, now knowing the name of the substance. Shoto. Titan, Shinso. Don't make the reference to Shingeki, it's not the time. Said the purple hair, stopping the bicolor. But before Batman could do anything, the Penguin would press a button on his desk. Penguin. Well, winged rat, it was a good talk, but I need to go attend to more business. Batman. And who said you were going to leave? He asked while holding a batarang in each hand, but then he noticed a shadow behind him, so he would move, seeing a man in a black suit that covered almost his entire body including his face. Penguin. Batman, Titan, Batman. He said, introducing them to each other. The bat, upon seeing it, would notice the same green liquid on the subject's hands, putting him on guard. Katsuki. He doesn't look very strong. Aizawa. Never trust Bakugo, apart from the fact that he seems to have that substance whose effects we don't know. Penguin. Okay Titan, take care of the dirty work. It was a pleasure meeting you. Winged rat, see you in hell. He said, to which the man nodded while the Penguin retreated, leaving both opponents. The man and the bat would look at each other for a few moments, until Titan would move one of the rings on his gloves, watching as the Titan substance ran through the tubes of his suit, which caused his muscles to increase abnormally and his skin to turn red. Everyone was left with their eyes wide open at the brutal change that occurred from one moment to the next, while others were reminded of the time All Might lost his muscular form, only now it was the other way around. The guard, upon seeing this, would be surprised by this change, but he quickly got into a combat stance with the batarangs ready. Everyone watched as Titan and Batman stood face to face. To say they were impressed by the tremendous change the giant suffered was an understatement. Although for some, despite the fact that it was impressive, it was not that much, and although they had seen something similar with All Might. But they quickly saw how both were face to face, with no fight to be done, which excited some people. The vigilante was face to face against Titan. The massive muscles looked at Batman with a macabre smile while the bat was serious with his batarangs ready. The tension in the place increased as time passed, until it was broken by Titan, who launched himself at Batman. The bat, upon seeing him, quickly took out his bat claw and climbed onto the roof, then launched himself at Titan's back and slashed him twice with his batarangs. That had angered Titan, who tried to grab the bat, but it avoided him by cutting his hands. At that, the guard would take one of the serum tubes, but Titan grabbed his hand before he could do anything and threw him towards the wall. Everyone, seeing how Batman hit the wall, made a new one of pain, especially the heroes who on more than one occasion had been sent to crash into a wall. The bat got up in pain only to dodge a stomp from Titan. Following that, the bat would throw other batarangs, but these had a red circle in the middle. However, Titan would grab the batarang and dodge the other one that stuck into the wall. Titan. That's all, I asked mockingly, only to hear a beep from the batarangs, which exploded, damaging Titan quite a bit. Batman. Number. Nezu. It's clear he's prepared for all kinds of situations. David. He must have a lot of experience, and that's why he will have made various artifacts. Kendo. Now that I think about it, couldn't the UA do the same with people without quirks? I ask what many saw it with different opinions. David. Well, you could, but it takes a lot of training for that and it's very dangerous. Monoma. Literally 2 of the A class are useless and I don't even know how they passed the entrance exam. Tenya. What do you mean? Monoma. How did the dwarf with balls on his head and the invisible girl pass the test? They literally couldn't destroy robots because they didn't have the physical capacity to do so. He said, leaving many thinking for a few minutes until they opened their eyes to look at Nezu. Nezu. Well, young Mineta helped several girls save themselves from robots, and young Hagakure was always near robots destroyed in front of her. Uraraka. I think Mineta's case was more like something else than helping, but with Toru-chan, did they really never notice? Or did they even look at her? Nezu. Yes, we must adapt the entrance exams, especially seeing that people without powers can also be heroes if they want to. He said, looking at the screen like the rest of the teachers who had to admit it was true. And not only for people without quirk, but also for people with quirks not so useful for battle like Shinso, who showed he wanted to be a hero but couldn't destroy any robot because of his quirk. Returning to the fight, the Bat, after saying his answer, took out a metallic object from his belt like a weapon. To then put it near his right fist, showing how a gel came out that adhered to his hand. At that, Titan recovered and launched himself at the guard, who waited for him to give Titan a right hook that exploded in his face. Shoto. If he starts using too many explosions, I'll stop liking him. Katsuki. Say it for yourself, Pokeball hair. But then Titan would take him and hit him on the head, leaving the guard on the ground and disoriented. Seeing the Bat on the ground, Titan was going to finish it off, but the guard recovered and threw an explosive batarang at him. Then he started hitting him while dodging his blows. After that blow to the nose, the Bat put explosive gel on his fist and feet. To then give him a boxing punch to the jaw to knock him out along with the explosion, but Titan had not fallen and grabbed the Bat, who kicked him in the stomach that did a lot of damage and caused him to release the Bat, but did not defeat him. In that, Titan would manage to take Batman by surprise and would give him a blow that sent him far away, to then launch into another series of blows that the Bat tried to block uselessly. Many would grimace in pain as they watched the Gotham Knight being beaten up by the Muscle Man. But then, Batman would take one of the smoke bombs and throw it at Titan, which managed to charge him thanks to the smoke. So the Bat, using the Bat Claw, would take the Penguin's desk and smash it on Titan's head. To get on his back and throw several batarangs that stuck into his skin, and naturally he turned around facing the Bat. The guard would see that as he launched himself at him but managed to dodge it, or so the Bat thought, until he was grabbed by the cape by Titan and was slammed against the wall, leaving it cracked. Batman. Og. The Bat complained and was then thrown towards the other wall, causing the guard to fall to the ground. Batman. Damn, it's tougher than I thought. He thought about immediately throwing an explosive batarang at the roof, destroying it and causing the debris to fall on Titan. Midnight. With that, he's sure to beat him. Aizawa. I wouldn't say the same. He said, pointing at the sphere, showing Titan, who stood up angrily only to not see the Bat. The giant looked around confused at not seeing the guard, who was above him. Batman, seeing his opponent distracted, would throw some batarangs towards the tubes with the liquid cutting them. The giant would stop, feeling how said liquid entered his body, so he would see the tubes, realizing that the tubes were cut and he was losing his power. Titan. No, 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 no. It was the scream he gave as his muscles returned to normal and he saw how he was obscured by Batman's shadow. Batman would look at him seriously and then give him a blow that would leave him knocked out. Toshinori. That guy was really strong and tough. Cements. The drug he ingested, I'm sure, gives him greater strength than Endeavor or some with super strength quirks. Vlad King. And his resistance is greater than Tetsu and Kirishima together. They said, looking at the sphere with sweat running down their foreheads, imagining an enemy like that but with some quirk, or worse yet, a Nomu with that drug. Definitely not even All Might would stop him, maybe in his prime, but not in his previous state. The vigilante just sighed, as he began to feel the pain of his fight, so he would take Titan and take him to the Batmobile to go to the police station. Ethan. Look who came, said a dark-skinned officer watching the Batmobile park. Ethan. Well, what do you have for me? I asked, watching as the guard pulled Titan out of the Batmobile. Batman. He is a bodyguard of the Penguin, now he has a drug that increases physical abilities greatly. Ethan. Like steroids. Batman. Similar. Ethan. How strong do they make them? Batman. Enough to tell you that I wouldn't have beaten him if I hadn't cut the tubes that supplied the drug to his body. He said, getting into the Batmobile and leaving Ethan with Titan, who took him to the police station. Momo. Wow, he works with the police. Stain. That's weird, security guards and the police don't get along. Nezu. Well, Mr. Wayne has been Batman for 15 years, I guess they realized his intentions during that time. Midnight. That's right, who can go after a person who has saved lives for over a decade? Endeavor. It's true, it's absurd to look for it and not collaborate with it to make it easier. Toshinori. and he is a symbol for all the inhabitants of Gotham who seem to appreciate him for all the lives he has saved over time. They all said, seeing the obviousness of that situation, all before the eyes of Shoto, who had a Spider-Man comic in his hand. Shoto. Bad luck, Parker. Izuku. Bruce. The freckled man said through the Batmobile's radio. Batman. Izuku, I need you to send the information recorded by my mask to Ethan Bennett's email. Nezu. That might be helpful in preventing true heroes from being unjustly accused of crimes. Izuku. Okay, by the way, the liquid. Batman. The Titan formula increases the physical capabilities of its consumer, but its effect is temporarily low, and for there to be a difference it must be consumed constantly. He said, leaving Izuku impressed. Izuku. How is it? Batman. One of Penguin's men supplied the Titan on his orders and I confronted him, now send the recordings. Izuku. It's okay, he said, cutting off the communication, to which the guard noticed how the sky was already beginning to set, a sign that it was dawning and therefore, his day was over. Meanwhile in the Batcave, Izuku could be seen sending the tests to the conditioned Ethan Bennett while Alfred prepared a stretcher along with a medical team. Izuku. Alfred, what are you doing? Alfred. Master Bruce always comes with one or more wounds on his body, and seeing the fight with that Titan, it will not be surprising if he has to be in recovery for a while. Recovery girl. It's good to be cautious. Toshinori. Not so much either. Recovery girl. Ignoring the fact that we saw him get slammed into walls and take blows that could have killed him, whenever you come back from a day of heroic activity you should have medical equipment available. Kaminari. Why so much? Izuku. Do you think so? I mean, he didn't ask us to prepare medical equipment. Alfred. Ah, Master Izuku, if it were up to Master Bruce he would already be dead. Izuku. Alfred. On more than one occasion I had to force him to get checked out because he had injuries. He said that nothing was wrong, but I still treated him and that saved his life on more than one occasion, whether it was due to broken bones that were stuck in his organs, injuries caused by corrosive chemicals, and many other things. The butler said as he watched the Batmobile arrive and Bruce got out. Recovery girl. Does that answer your question? Kaminari. Sir. Alfred. I love Bruce, please pass. Batman. Next Alfred, I must investigate the business of. Alfred. Sir, I understand your point, so I kindly ask you to go sit on that stretcher and let me examine you. Batman simply sighed, knowing that Alfred wouldn't let him work until he listened to him, so he went to sit on the stretcher. All before Izuku's eyes, who only looked at Bruce with a small mocking smile. Izuku. Listen to your dad, Bruce. The millionaire just looked at him with his typical serious and stoic look that gave Izuku a chill. Ink. Is it me, or did Izuku become more confident with them? That was what the woman asked herself in pain when she saw how Izuku was more confident with them, to the point of making jokes, than with her, who was his mother. Alfred. Master Bruce, I stopped bullying Master Izuku. Bruce. He didn't intimidate him, it's only his fault that he got scared. He said as Alfred watched Bruce's damage through a screen. Alfred. 5 broken ribs, several bruises around his body, and also has first-degree burns on his right hand from the explosive gel. How many times have I said that last one? Bruce. It was better than other nights. Alfred. Yes, how to forget those nights when I only came with small bruises from the bullets that the suit stopped, and I didn't have to operate on him about 5 times in less than 2 hours to get to Wayne Enterprises on time. Yaoyorozu, Momo's mother, all that damage and only with common criminals. Nezu. Before you tell me anything, it's common knowledge how dangerous it is to be a hero. Mika, Jiro's mother, yes, but that much. Nezu. Ma'am, how many times do you see stories of heroes fallen in battle on the news? I literally turn on the TV and find 6 different news stories all about the same thing. He said, shocking the parents when they learned about the dangerous careers of their children. Nezu. But don't worry, with the equipment we have, that won't happen to them. He said without generating any effect on the parents, who remained the same. Nezu whispering. I already screwed up, right? Aizawa. See. Izuku. But couldn't he say he'd work from home? I mean, he's the boss. Alfred. Mr. Bruce had the great idea of doing it right on days where there were important meetings. He said while Bruce would only leave the Batcave before Alfred's eyes. Alfred. And again I forget the pain pills, he said looking at some pills he had put on a tray. Izuku. Should I take them? Alfred. Calm down, Master Izuku, I'll take care of it. He said taking the pills and then leaving. The freckled one would only see this and then turn to the Bat computer and start searching for the Penguin's location meanwhile. Which was not complicated, achieving it a few minutes later. Izuku. Should I wait for Bruce or go myself? The green-haired boy considered that possibility. He had some training by the UA and by Alfred, at the green-haired boy's request to improve more. However, the OFA did not work in this universe apart from the fact that if another Titan appeared, he would surely die. Kirishima. I don't like to say this, but it's true. Suyu. Izuku isn't prepared to go after them, much less without someone supporting him. Kiro. Shoto. If only there was someone who would help him. Someone who dresses like a bat and with weapons perhaps. Ryoka. We already know that, but it's not ready. So the day went by where Izuku received his tasks from Alfred. He ate, trained, just as Alfred began to train him in some fighting styles, and finally he went to sleep since it was Alfred's turn to take care of the Batcave. However, the green-haired boy couldn't get the subject of the Penguin and the Titan drug out of his head, even though he was experiencing 1,000 scenes where Bruce could lose his life because of it. He knew Bruce had faced stronger enemies, but that didn't take away the fear. So, the green-haired boy got up and went to the Batcave seeing a worried Alfred. Izuku. Alfred, what's wrong? Alfred. Master Izuku, look at this. He said to what Izuku approached, seeing several people mutated by the Titan formula and Batman in front of them. 13. And I thought the USJ Nomu was ugly Aizawa. But how did they look like that? Perhaps. Izuku. What, perhaps? Alfred. The Titan formula was leaked at Arkham Asylum. Aizawa. I thought so. Present Mike. Hey Shota, why did LGBT march music play and your face had the colors of their respective flag? Aizawa. No, I don't know. Izuku. But how did it happen? Alfred. Someone hacked into the asylum's security systems, freeing several inmates, and some received the Titan formula. Izuku. So Bruce is locked up with all of them. Alfred. That's right. He said while the green-haired man saw this with concern. Izuku. Alfred, we have to help him. Those things can kill him, and if it's not them, it will be the rest of the inmates. Alfred. Master Bruce is strong, Master Izuku, but he could really use some help. Izuku. Okay, let's go. Alfred. I'm sorry young Izuku, but I can't go, besides that he won't go like that, right? I mean, he would be easily recognized. Izuku. So, Alfred, there is something you can use. He said, seeing a suit that was being protected by a glass dome. We find ourselves where we left off in the previous chapter where Alfred showed Izuku Robin's suit. Nezu. Isn't that suit the same one from that dome? I ask, remembering the other suit burned and written in yellow. The Presence. It's actually another suit intended for the previous Robin. Kirishima. But how did Batman end up in that situation? The Presence. Oh, I'll show you. He said as the screen changed from the image of Alfred and Izuku looking at the suit to one where Batman was in the Batmobile. With Batman minutes ago. The Bat was taking the Penguin to prison after having overwhelmingly defeated him and his henchmen. However, the security guard had a bad feeling, as if something was going to happen tonight, so he decided to be alert to his surroundings for any small detail that could be a warning. Endeavor. He was not wrong, he said, remembering the previous situation of the guard. Upon arriving at the police station, the guard noticed several patrol cars leaving, along with Ethan, who was about to get into a patrol car until Batman got in front of him. Batman. What happened? Ethan. Arkham Asylum, he's a prisoner. Inko. Just one? But before, there were many more. He said with hesitation that everyone shared Batman. Which one? Ethan. We don't know, Batman, that prisoner calls himself Joker. Upon hearing the name the officer mentioned, the guard looked at him with shock that later turned into fury. Batman. What do you mean, Ethan? I don't know, I just know that it appears. Before saying anything else, The officer saw how the hooded man threw the penguin towards the police station to get on the Batmobile and go at full speed towards the asylum. Seeing Batman's reaction to that name, everyone was impressed. Toshinori. It's similar to how I reacted to All for One. Did the Joker kill the Robin before young Midoriya? The former #1 hero thought, remembering how they acted with AFO after the death of his teacher. I could see it in the hooded man's eyes, that anger and thirst for revenge he felt towards his greatest enemy after the murder of Nana Shimura. He had to say that he felt bad for Bruce because while he saw Nana as a mother, he surely saw Robin as a son. And that monster took it away from him. Thousands of questions ran through the guard's mind, from, how is he there? What does he want with the asylum? Or the biggest one yet, how was he alive? The security guard had arrived after a few minutes at the asylum where he entered, going directly to a place. Juro. How come he was alive? Did that guy die? Momo. For that thought, surely. Toru. But then why are you so worried if I should be dead? Aizawa. From what it seems, based on the number of patrols and Batman's reaction, that guy must be one of the most dangerous, and it seems that he took something very important from him to make him react that way. Midnight. Aside from the fact that he faked his death to escape the police. He said, remembering how some villains faked their deaths only to appear days later. This was a cell that had a smile drawn on the door with what appeared to be blood. That was the Joker's cell. The guard would enter, seeing the guards next to someone with green hair and white skin who was subdued. In less than a second the guards were knocked out by Batman, who was looking at the Joker. Which would quickly be grabbed by the collar of the shirt, observing face to face the Bat's look of hatred that turned to confusion. This guy, that man wasn't the Joker. Nezu. Another guy in disguise, oh no. Batman. Who are you and where is he? The hooded man demanded to know the man who was trembling. Joker. Who? Batman. The Joker, where is he? Joker. It's me, be Batman. He said this trying to hide his fear, another evidence that he was not and would not be the Joker, apart from calling him Batman and no bats as the clown used to call him. But then everyone could hear a very loud noise, as if something metallic had fallen. Nezu. It's a trap. Probando. 1, 2, 3, testing, there it is. Batman. That voice. Very well, Batman, as always falling into the trap. Batman. Riddler. Riddler. Okay, Batman, we meet again after a few years. What was 2? 3, no, 5, yes, 5 years I remember because you still had Robin. He said, making the Bat's anger grow. In the room, upon hearing the Riddler's words, many people became angry when they saw the man mocking Bruce's partner. Riddler. Leaving that aside, I decided to study your mind a little more, Batman. I must say you are somewhat complicated. Batman. So many fights and you still haven't studied me. MH. And you boast of being intellectually superior. Stoic, said the Bat, which angered the Riddler. Suyu. She's as easy to provoke as Bakugo. Hitsumi Katsuki. Who is this digger? Suyu. The truth. Riddler. Shut up. You know, I was planning on only freeing a couple of prisoners when I saw your situation, but... He said while in a dark room you could see a guard looking scared while he had what appeared to be a metal hook pointing at his neck. Riddler. I will release all the prisoners. Guard. Wait, that's not it. But before he could finish, a hand would emerge from the darkness and press some buttons, followed by a combination of numbers and a fingerprint scanner. Riddler would see the multiple screens that showed every corner of the asylum, noticing how all the doors would have been released to the prisoners. Riddler. Well, you're no use to me anymore. He said, moving his cane. The hook cut the guard's throat from left to right, who died a few seconds later. Seeing how Riddler had killed the guard, everyone was shocked, but the children's parents' guardians were upset by what they saw. The presence. Don't worry, unlike you, they watch it with censorship. He said, relieving the adults from responding. Riddler. Why didn't you do that before? I asked, looking into the darkness. I wanted to see if the human mind, even in life-threatening situations, is capable of refusing to do something bad to save itself, and I see that it's true. Riddler. Whatever, Hugo, are you staying to watch the show? Hugo. That's why I spoke to you in the first place, Edward. Riddler. Well, he said, watching the screens as Batman left the Joker's cell facing an endless number of prisoners. Riddler. Let's see if you survive first, Batman. The Bat would see several criminals in the hallway in front of him, whose eyes showed hatred and madness. I also noticed how some guards were beaten and next to them there was a hopper. The Bat looked at them seriously to grab said object and, after having defeated the criminals, the guard would take a little breath from the blows and wounds he received from some patients who also had weapons that they stole from the guards. In the room, several people were impressed. They didn't think the Bat could take on that many enemies using only a hopper. Nezu. He reminds me of Jonathan Wick, he thought, remembering that man who had killed several villains with just a pencil. So the guard saw how the main entrance to the corridor had opened, showing a person similar to Titan. Batman. You made a deal with the Penguin to obtain the Titan drug. Riddler. You're still just as smart as before, he said as the Bat prepared with everything he had, knowing how dangerous this fight would be. Cements. Taking the previous encounter he had against a Titan. Power loader. But with the blows he took, I don't know if he'll be able to. However, they noticed how the Titan's steps became increasingly slower until he fell to the ground dead. Vlad King. Either Riddler is stupid or Batman is very lucky. Riddler. Oh, well, now we know the guards can't stand much of that drug, he said, angering the Bat because of the fact that they were prison guards. The guard would leave that place to head towards another part of the Great Arkham Asylum. All before the eyes of the Riddler and Hugo. Riddler. Do you like the show? Hugo. Strategic and agile, he managed to defeat an entire group of crazy people, also armed, with just one hopper. Riddler. It seems like this is the first time you've heard of him. It's obvious he can do that. On the physical side, I don't think there's anyone who can surpass him. Well, maybe Killer Croc and the Titans, but in a more natural way, he doesn't have a rival. Stain. He's one of the few lunatics I know who recognizes the strengths of his enemies. Lady Nagant. Really, Stain? Most people said, shut up, I'll beat him next time, ignoring his flaws and avoiding improvement. Hugo. That's noticeable, he said, watching how Batman defeated one of the prisoners with some quick and direct blows. Riddler. Tell me, is the next level ready? Hugo. Langstrom is already transformed, Crane is already in the chemical section near the ventilation, and Ivy is already in the greenhouse. Riddler. And the rest? Hugo. You already know Valentine and his obsession with perfection. According to him, Croc has not left the Arkham sewers and Quinn is looking for Batman on her own. Akko. Will she have to face all those plus the other prisoners? Nezu. It certainly is crazy, but if he plays his cards right, maybe he can win. David. Are you serious, Nezu? Nezu. Yes, from what they said they are in different areas. Instead of attacking all at once, they will stay in other places. The only one who is looking for him for the asylum is that Harley Quinn, but the rest are in other areas that he can choose which one to go to. The animal of unknown species said seriously. Several people, upon hearing Nezu's words, realized that detail and understood that the Bat would have the opportunity to get out of there. Riddler. I told you we shouldn't include her. Hugo. It was that or not get Ivy's help. Riddler. Right, well, let's see how this game goes, he said, seeing the Bat arriving at the other part of the asylum and finding himself face to face with Batman. Harley Quinn, he said, seeing the aforementioned woman who looked at the Bat with hatred. Do I need to write the reaction of the perverts when they see it? No. Okay, let's continue. Harley. You took away what I loved most, he said with a wooden bat while the Bat was preparing for the fight. The guard was standing in front of the former Arkham psychiatrist who had a look of hatred on her face. Midnight. That girl is wearing makeup similar to that guy called Joker. Aizawa. What is this? Mandalay. I think that more than his daughter, he is his partner. Batman. Quinn, this can't go on like this, he's gone now, you have to get over it. Harley. You and he killed him. Batman. No, he died by his own hand. Listen, things shouldn't end like this, you shouldn't seek revenge for his death, I say this from experience. Toshinori, upon hearing the Bat's words, would remember how he tried to get revenge on AFO for what happened to Nana. The truth is that he didn't regret what he did to AFO, but he knew perfectly well that he would get revenge by incriminating Izuku, which is what leads him to a question. If I didn't leave All for One disfigured, would Izuku still be with us? A question that may be answered by looking at the sphere. Harley. Shut up. You wouldn't say the same thing if that brat had stayed where he was. If he were in a coffin right now, you wouldn't say that. Batman. Robin's thing has nothing to do with it. Harley. Oh no. I screamed as I tried to hit him with the bat, but the bat dodged it and then dodged a second attack by jumping. Batman. Quinn really isn't necessary, you can just leave it, get over it. Harley. So how did you get over the brat thing? I asked, giving a second blow that was stopped by Batman with his forearm. To then receive a blow to the stomach that sent her backwards. Harley. Damn bat zoophiliac. That comment had offended heroes with animal-related outfits or quirks. He said as he took out a gun and started shooting at the guard who protected himself with his cape. But what the bat didn't see was how the clown would have thrown a grenade, which exploded and sent him towards a wall. But when he left, he saw how the blonde had thrown herself trying to hit him with a hammer with the bat, which he dodged and hit her directly in the face. Batman. Are you giving up? I asked, seeing her stagger a little, but the girl would recover and throw another blow with the bat, hitting her in the ribs. Following that, she received a kick in the face and a hit on her back with the bat, but Batman quickly grabbed her foot and made her fall, giving him time to recover a little before the blonde threw a gas bomb at him. Batman. Cough, cough. He started coughing as he began to feel weaker. Harley. Toxins from my good friend Ivy. Batman. Cough, cough. He coughed as he pulled out a neutralizer and stepped out of the gas, in order to inject himself with the neutralizer and cure himself of the toxin. Nezu. It is even prepared for toxins. I definitely don't want to imagine if it were in our world what it would be like. Harley. MMHHH cheating cuckold. He said as he put two fingers in his mouth, calling two hyenas who without hesitation launched themselves at Batman. Who, upon seeing the animals, put his forearm up, which prevented them from biting his face, and at the same time he managed to break the animal's teeth. Koga. El Los Hyenas. Shoji. Koga tried to kill him. Koga. But no, it's not his fault, it's the crazy blonde's fault. Uraraka. Now that I think about it, it looks like Toga. But suddenly he would receive a blow to the head that left him confused, only to receive another blow, and another, and another, and another. The blonde only focused on hitting the bat while tears came out of her eyes, until Batman would take the bat and break it and then sweep it at Harley's feet, making her fall. To do this, grab her by the legs and throw her against a wall and grab her by the neck. Harley. Do it. K kill me W, how did you do it to him? She said while the hooded man, seeing what she was doing, would release her, letting her breathe. Batman. Harley. Me. Harley. How do you tell me not to seek revenge if you've been doing it for years? Batman. I'm not looking for revenge, I'm looking for. Harley. Don't lie. If you weren't looking for revenge, tell me why did you start being Batman? If you weren't looking for revenge, why did the first thing you did as soon as the trial came out was try to shoot him? If that woman hadn't shot him first, you would have. If you weren't looking for revenge, why did you call yourself that? Tell me. If you weren't looking for any of that, why did you kill him as soon as what happened to Robin happened? I shouted, demanding an answer from the millionaire who was silent. Batman. No low mate Quinn. He said seriously while the blonde looked at him with hatred, but her expression was changing, calming down more and more. Harley. You know what? You're right, it wasn't you. She said, making the bat believe that she had reconsidered until she said the following. Harley. It's Robin's fault. Cements. I thought it would change. Lady Nagant. Nobody changes overnight. Stain. Said the one who after fighting the snot. Lady Nagant. Say one word and I'll blow your head off. He said while pointing his rifle at him. He screamed as he tried to stab the guard with a knife, but his suit was already prepared for that, preventing the knife from penetrating. Batman. It wasn't his fault, he didn't know what he was doing. Harley. And how many more say that and get them here, but not the great Robin, let's send him to another city with his girlfriend and have a happily ever after. he said as he tried to kick him, but the bat managed to defend itself successfully. But the blonde would recover and would begin to exchange blows with the bat, being a fairly close fight. Until at one point the girl almost received a blow from the guard who managed to block it with his bat. And quickly the ex-psychiatrist would knee Batman in the stomach, followed by hitting him on the knee with the bat. Feeling the blow, the bat let out a moan of pain, seeing how the blonde was going to hit him again, but Batman would take a flash bomb and threw it at her, temporarily blinding the girl and giving her the opportunity to attack her. At that, Harley would hit Batman on the head, leaving him disoriented long enough for the girl to take out another gun and shoot him. However, this time the bat, when he tried to protect himself, felt the shot hit him. The bullet had not penetrated his body, but rather it had hit him as if it were a rubber bullet hitting an unprotected body. Harley. You like it? They're weapons created by a certain Lex Luthor, made so the police could do something against supervillains and not be a sacrifice. Seeing that, Batman would be surprised, but he didn't have time to react when the blonde started shooting. Mirio. I feel like that Lex Luthor guy will be a problem in the future. Tamaki. Maybe he created the Titan drug. Najire. Well, he creates large caliber weapons, maybe a serum to improve people, it's feasible that he creates it. It's like Captain America's serum. He said what many were going to contradict until they remembered that in a way it was true. Thus the hooded man would begin to dodge the blonde's shots, some of which hit him and others he managed to dodge, until he would throw a batarang that would disarm Harley, leaving her unprotected. So the guard would hit Harley in the face, sending her flying. Batman. It's over, Quinn, now let's go to your cell. Harley. It's not fair. Batman. Of course it is. Harley. Oh, so it's fair that those who are your friends shouldn't suffer consequences for what they do, but others like me pudding do. Batman. Robin didn't know what he was doing and it was his fault what happened to him. Harley. Don't blame me again, Pudding, for his death. He wanted to live. We were going to move to another city and... Batman. Harley. Think about that for a second. Do you really think someone as unbalanced as the Joker would keep his promise? Harley. The Batman. He abandoned you, he hit you, he manipulated you, and even after he's dead you still believe all the lies he told you. Did you ever see any interest in him to leave without you mentioning it? Did you even see him rob a bank to earn money? Huh? No, he didn't love you, Harley. You were a toy to him, and if he told you all that, it was because he was manipulating you to be by his side. He said, looking at the blonde who had a look of surprise that turned to sadness. Harley. If that were the case, tell me, why did he promise me that? Why would he want me by his side if he could get rid of me whenever he wanted? Batman. He saw you as his toy, Harley, like a child who has a toy taken away from him. He doesn't want the same one but from somewhere else, he wants the one that was taken from him. He saw you as that and nothing more. In response to the Bat's words, several could only remember when they had toxic relationships, whether they were heroes, friends or family, and how they were told their cons several times, but they refused to listen. Batman. Why? I never understood why you loved him so much, Harley. Even when you separated from him you showed improvement, you were becoming better, you had a better life, but you went back to him and your life became horrible again. Why did you even love him in the first moment? The hooded man asked the girl, who was silent. The girl would get up and take out a control that when activated, the doors of the place would have been shown to the Titans. Harley. Goodbye, Batman, he said sadly as he locked the bat with them. Shinso. It seems that guy left marks on that Harley for life. Aizawa. That's right, Shinso. He asked me what happened in all those years that Bruce was Batman before meeting Midoriya. Batman would just watch, remembering the fight with Titan and their superhuman strength, so he prepared to fight alone. Thus the Titans would launch themselves towards the hooded man, who using the bat claw climbed up to the roof and lassoed some explosive batarangs that slightly damaged the Titans. But seeing that it did not have the expected result, the next movement was from one of the Titans, who took part of the floor to throw it, making the bat dodge it along with another blow from another Titan, but would be grabbed by the third and thrown towards a wall. The bat would recover and see the three Titans about to jump if it weren't for the fact that the roof of the asylum was destroyed, causing several crystals to fall on the Titan's skin, while Batman protected himself with his cape. Sorry I'm late? A young man with black hair and blue eyes and American features asked, but Bruce didn't see that boy, but rather Batman. Izuku. Seeing this, both Riddler and Hugo were impressed to see a new Robin, thinking that Batman would not have another after what the Joker did. Izuku. Sorry for the delay, I was setting up the mask. Batman. What are you doing here, Izuku? I came to help. Batman. I don't need help, he said as Izuku watched the three titans take off their glasses in pain and anger. Izuku. I wouldn't say the same, Batman was going to reply until he saw how the three titans were already ready to attack them. Batman. Fine, but follow my orders, Robin. Izuku. See. He said as he took out a metal staff that had an electric current on the tip, and Batman would take out two batarangs, both ready to fight. The hooded man and the new Wonder Boy stood in front of the three titans, each ready with their weapons. At that, one of the titans launched itself towards the duo, who received an explosive batarang from the front, followed by some smoke bombs from Izuku that blinded the titan. Robin. Hey, how did you beat these things? Batman. Tehran cut the wood that supplied him with the dose. Robin. But these guys don't have hoses to cut, he said to dodge a blow from one of the titans that cracked the ground. Toshinori. I dare say they have the same strength as Mirko. Aizawa. Yes, but they are less agile. The Bat would think of some way to defeat the titans, until he remembered the neutralizer he used for the poison ivy gas that Harley threw at him. Batman. Robin, inject this into someone, he said, giving him a neutralizer while taking out two more. Robin. Yes. Kaminari. There's something I don't understand. Juru. We're not going to put everything from the beginning. Kaminari. Haha, very funny. But what I don't understand is if Midoriya has to have a secret identity because only the mask. I mean, there shouldn't be many Japanese people with green hair and eyes of the same color. He said what everyone noticed but Kirishima, Mina, Siro and Juru, as well as the parents of the purple-haired girl, pointed their quirks at him. Kirishima, Mina, Siro, Juru, Kyotoku, Mika. Who are you and what did you do to Kaminari? My bro. My boyfriend. That jerk, my son-in-law. Kaminari. Hey, that offends me. The presence. I'd rather show it than explain it. In the Batcave, Izuku and Alfred were shown, with the green-haired man receiving the Robin suit from the butler. Izuku. Alfred, not to be offensive, but a mask can't help much with the secret identity. He said while holding the mask in his hand. Kaminari. Great minds think alike. Kirishima. Said the one who set the water on fire, Katsuki. To this day I can't explain how you did that. Alfred. Calm down, young Izuku. The mask has an illusion technology that allows him to change his facial features, eye color or even hair color. Izuku. Oh, I understand. He said as he put on the mask. Now instead of being Japanese he was American. His green hair was now black and his eyes went from green to blue. All. Wow. Nezu. That would be useful for heroes who want to keep their identity secret. Aizawa. It would save me from Ms. Joke's harassment and Mina's insistence on going on a date with her. Mina. Come on, it can't be that bad, Aizawa. No. Izuku. How'd I look? Alfred. Nobody would relate them. He said as the teenager took the rest of the gadgets. Izuku. And how'd I get there? Alfred. That's what the Batwing is for, young man. Izuku. Bat style? I ask until I hear a noise above, seeing a bat-shaped plane. David. How did he manage to build all of that without them being linked, plus the bat cave thing? Melissa. It's true, he couldn't have built that place alone. The presence. Well, for that he hired different foreign teams for short periods of time, and then he gave it a few remodelings like the computer and the means of transportation. He said, clarifying the public's doubts. Izuku. Okay, I know how to go. Alfred. The Batwing has an autopilot, just set the destination and it will be taken to Master Bruce's location. Izuku. Bruce really thought of everything when he was going to become a vigilante. Alfred. Needless to say, sometimes it's even a little scary. Akko. He's actually right. Ryoka. If she were in our world, she would surely have plans against the heroes. Katsuki. What stupidity, and why would he have plans against the heroes? Aizawa. The truth is that it wouldn't be strange, There are many villains who can use mind control quirks, or the heroes, when they are offered something like money, women, or something else, end up becoming villains. Shoto. Like you, if they gave you the opportunity to legally shout and hit whoever you wanted, you would become a villain. The bicolor said without much importance to the pale-haired boy who wanted to throw himself at him but was stopped by Aizawa. So both vigilantes launched themselves towards the Titans, where Izuku tried to inject the neutralizer but realized something. Robin. Batman, you can't inject them, their skin is too tough. I screamed the last thing before being thrown towards a wall, cracking the. Seeing him, everyone made a new one of pain. Robin. Okay, this will hurt tomorrow. The Bat, upon hearing what the green-haired man said, uncovered one of the jars and kicked one of the Titans low, making him lose his breath. Kirishima. That's not fair. Vlad King. In a fight, anything goes. And at that moment when the mouth was open, Batman would take advantage of it and throw the neutralizer that began to take effect immediately. But that didn't save the Bat from receiving a kick that sent him towards the other Titan, who grabbed him by the leg and slammed him against the ground. But before continuing, he would receive a blow to the head, courtesy of Izuku, who had thrown his staff, hitting it right on the electrified part as well. Which left the Titan so baffled that Batman made him swallow the neutralizer. Nezu. He has a great capacity for thought as well as knowing the points to remove air from the human body. By the end there was only one left, so the Bat and the green-haired man waited for his move, who soon reached the Titan and tried to ram them. Batman. Robin shoots him in the head and pulls back. He said, passing him the bat claw, to which Izuku obeyed Batman's order and did as asked. Giving for a few moments that the Titan opened his mouth and Batman threw the neutralizer into his mouth, finally defeating him. Robin. We make a good team, don't we? However, the Bat looked at Izuku seriously, making him nervous. Batman. Did Al give you the suit? It was the only thing he asked, confusing Izuku with Al's step. Robin. Yeah, and what's that nickname for Al? He couldn't finish it because the Bat put his hand over his mouth while pointing at a security camera. Midnight. He even has a nickname so Alfred won't be discovered. Cementos. Well, it's logical. Imagine that he is talking to Alfred and some villain is near him. It would reduce the search for his identity to someone who has an acquaintance with the name Alfred and is a millionaire. Robin, taking off Batman's hand. Were they watching you? Batman. They're watching us. Don't reveal any personal information. This time you'll help me, but later I don't want to see you with that suit on, ever. He said as he started walking, being seen by Izuku, who started following him through the asylum. All this was seen by Riddler and Hugo, who were impressed by the appearance of another Robin. Hugo. Wow, Riddler. This wasn't in the plan, but it looks inexperienced. Hugo. That's true, but that doesn't take away from the good work he did with Batman. Riddler. Still, we have enough to make him die or go crazy. He said, to which Hugo nodded. Our duo was running through the halls of the asylum looking for the other patients who escaped. But on the way they found the corpse of a patient. When they got closer they noticed that his entire head and hands were bandaged. Seeing that scene, they covered the eyes of children like Kota and Eri. Mirio. Can you give us a heads up every time a scene like that happens? I'm saying this for them. The presence. It's okay, young Mirio, and I apologize for not warning you sooner. He said with a slight bow as he took off his hat in apology to Mirio and Mandalay. Robin. God, what happened to him? Batman. I know who did this, keep doing the same thing. Robin. Who are you referring to? Batman. Laszlo Valentine, better known as Professor Pig. Robin. He does this. Batman. Only with those he doesn't consider perfect. To those he does, he implants doll masks, erases their fingerprints, castrates them and, through the use of drugs, lobotomizes them, making them follow his orders no matter what. Robin. What? Not even AFO would do something like that. Nezu. Debatable, we have to see how he creates the Nomus. Batman. What you heard. He said as he continued on his way looking for said psychopath in the asylum. While Izuku stood still for a few seconds, horrified by what that guy was doing, until he realized that Bruce was leaving, so he quickly caught up with him. Yui. There isn't such a crazy person in our world, is there? Nezu. It's a big world. If it exists, it exists. Robin. So Professor Pig is the priority. I ask while somewhere else something was listening to the Robin. Batman. The only priority is to lock everyone up, no matter who comes first. He said as that creature headed at high speed towards the Bat and the green-haired man. Robin. Well, who would be the supervillains that would lock you up here? Batman. Too many, but the most dangerous now are. But before continuing they would hear a scream that the guard recognized. Batman. Down, he shouted as he tried to knock Izuku to the ground, dodging an attack from a brown blur. Robin. Hey, and that's because. What's that? I asked, seeing a dark brown hybrid between a human and a bat with red eyes. Batman. Dr. Langstrom, alias Man-Bat. Nezu. Let's face it, Yobayakawa. Said the mouse, confusing some and others who agreed with him. Man-Bat would only roar upon seeing the bat and launched himself at him again, but the vigilante would quickly launch some sonic bombs that damaged the monster. Once he launched the sound bombs, Izuku would have launched himself towards Man-Bat trying to knock him out with a key. Batman. Robin no. I scream as I see how the green-haired man launched himself at the monster who grabbed him and slammed him against the sound bombs, destroying them. Robin. Oh no, he said facing the monster who opened his mouth full of sharp teeth. Batman seeing that quickly acted and using the bat claw propelled himself to kick the mutated bat sending it flying towards a wall destroying it. Batman. Don't ever do anything so reckless again. The hooded man scolded the Robin as Man-Bat stood up and took flight to attack the duo. The duo was facing Man-Bat who had launched himself at them in an attempt to bite them but the duo would dodge him. Robin. What do we do? Batman. Without sonic bombs, all we can do is go to the chemistry labs and create a cure. Robin. Why is there a laboratory in a mental hospital? I ask while dodging another attack from Man-Bat. Batman. They have him for drug experimentation. Robin. What? That's not illegal. Batman. In theory yes, but they do it to neutralize the most unstable patients like Langstrom. He said as he threw an explosive batarang at Man-Bat, managing to distract him a bit with the noise and explosion, giving Izuku and Batman time to escape towards the laboratories. Suyu. They don't do that in the mental hospitals or prisons of our world or if Jero. Nezu. As far as I know, no, but it could be useful for all for one. Toshinori. I feel like we should have saved some anti-quirk bullets from Ares' rescue. The blonde thought as he imagined how he injected AFO with the bullet, making him lose all his quirks, neutralizing him forever. Once they arrived, both the bat and the green-haired man put a barricade at the door so that Man-Bat could not enter. Batman. Make sure the barricade doesn't move, if it does, let me know. Robin. And what will you do? Batman. Lucky for us. He said as a blue light came out of his forearm that formed a screen showing a chemical formula. Batman. I have the formula to create the antidote. Robin. Okay, he said as the bat headed towards the laboratory instruments. While Izuku stood looking at the barricade for a few minutes, it began to move a little so he was going to warn Bruce until he heard the following. Get out of there, traitor. These were the words that Izuku heard behind the door, but it wasn't just the words but the voice that said it. Ako. That was Inko. The voice of Robin Toshinori, All Might Tight. These were the words of the green-haired man, seeing how the movement became stronger and stronger along with certain phrases being said. Useless. You are a disgrace to one for all. Damn traitor. Slag. And no. Why you're not my FAFA father. You are not my brother. I should have aborted you. Everyone only listened to what the screams were saying, being able to recognize the voices of Katsuki, Toshinori, Iida, Uraraka, Eri, Ako and finally, the one that most affected the freckled boy, his mother, Inko Yagi. As each sentence was said the door moved with more and more force, where the green-haired man only saw it with fear, being paralyzed. Jiro. Why is he listening to us at that moment? It was the question of the purple-haired girl while she listened to what she was saying to the freckled man. The presence. That's for one of Batman's villains. Shoto. Did we see it? The presence. For a short time. He said leaving some in doubt about who that villain was. While the Bat was busy in the laboratory but managed to hear the noise, so he went out to look through the door. He would see how the barricade was destroyed by Man-Bat while Izuku stayed still. Midnight. We see it from Midoriya's point of view. Present Mike. And now for Batman. Aizawa, the Scarecrow. He said, remembering the villain that the presence mentioned along with the news announcement. The Bat quickly threw an explosive batarang that distracted Man-Bat, giving the vigilante time to jump behind him and grab him by the neck. Man-Bat, feeling that he had the guard on his back, began to slam him against the walls while receiving blows to his face. Everyone seeing the blows Bruce received could only grimace in pain, and the heroes remembered when they faced villains with the ability to fly who did the same movement. While Izuku was paralyzed in place, he hadn't moved for even a second, he just stood still as more and more words reached his ears. All this while Man-Bat was hitting every wall and ceiling in the room with Batman, who had had enough and did something risky and put an explosive batarang near Man-Bat's ears. Which worked. At the last moment when the batarang was going to explode, Batman let go and moved away, being little affected by the explosion that still sent him to the ground along with Man-Bat, who had been knocked unconscious. Mitsuki. I feel like if it had been Izuku he would have withstood the explosion better. Katsuki. Hitsumi. What do you want to tell us, old witch? Mitsuki. What do you think, dwarfs? Everyone just watched the scene with a drop while Inko was annoyed by the comment that Mitsuki made, referring to the bullying that Izuku received from his children. The guard got up with great difficulty, seeing how half of his mask was destroyed, while he saw how Man-Bat returned to normal little by little. The Bat just looked at him for a few minutes before taking a chair and tying him to it with some rope he took from the Bat Claw. To then spit out some blood from the fall in the fight with Man-Bat. Then he looked at Izuku, who was still in the same position missing Batman, until he felt a familiar smell in the air. Batman. Crane, he said as he put on a mask that covered his entire mouth. Batman. Robin, listen to what I know you're seeing, it's not real, it's a hallucination caused by the Scarecrow's gas, do you hear me? I asked, but the green-haired man was still in a trance, but when he turned to see Bruce he was shocked by what he saw. Batman. Can you hear me? The green-haired man, from his vision, Bruce looked like a monster, so he would run away because of the fear he was having. Everyone just sweated when they saw it, since the image they saw also scared them a bit. Batman. Robin, he screamed as he chased him through the halls of Arkham. The green-haired man ran while listening to every word they had said about him that day, every insult, mockery, words of contempt, words of disappointment, everything he heard that day was reliving him. He felt how each blow was received again, how each burn was done again, how each cut appeared again. All of this left Izuku as he was before. So Izuku knelt on the ground with tears coming out of his eyes and blood from his wounds. Until he felt something prick his neck, and then slowly saw the halls of Arkham and Batman at his side with a neutralizer. Robin. B. Bridge. Batman. Batman. Put this on, he said, giving him a mask that the green-haired man put on immediately. Batman. It will prevent Scarecrow's gas from affecting you again. Robin. Was that the one with the illusions? Batman. Yeah, I don't know what you saw, but you can always count on me and Al. He said seriously, to which the green-haired man nodded. Everyone just watched the scene with sadness and disappointment in themselves, remembering how they attacked Izuku erratically. They didn't even treat him like they treated a villain, they treated him worse than that. Anger blinded them and they almost killed an innocent boy. Izuku. Oh my, Man-Bat. Batman. I already took care of him, we can continue. Izuku. Where? Batman. We're almost at the greenhouse, but first I have to get another hood and gear. Robin. And how are you going to get it? Batman. Follow me, he said, to what the green-haired man obeyed his mentor's order, reaching a wall that when moved revealed a board. Which left Izuku and Riddler impressed when they saw this, while Hugo was relaxed. Shoto. You won't have. Kirishima. A bat cave in the asylum, right? The presence. Of course it does, he said, leaving everyone in shock at what they heard and wondering how he could build a cave in that place. Riddler. You knew about this? Hugo. Yes, as an Arkham employee I am aware of Batman's base at the asylum. Riddler. And why didn't you tell me? We could have deciphered everything with Batman's information. Shoji. Is he even smart enough to crack Batman's codes? Tokiyami. From what you say, it's likely, but it's also strange that he didn't tell you. Hugo. I didn't tell you because even though I knew of its existence, I didn't know where it was located apart from the access code and fingerprint. He said, watching as Batman entered a code that they couldn't see, then took off his glove and put his hand that was scanned. Tokiyami. Okay, that explains why he didn't tell her. So the wall opened, showing another passageway, so Izuku went down with the bat, seeing the bat cave that was below Arkham Asylum. Robin. How did you manage to build this without your identity being discovered? Batman. Ethan helped me with that, the contract to the workers, and I gave them the cash. Robin. They didn't track the money you took out. Batman. I threw a big party afterwards so they wouldn't suspect. Robin. Oh, I understand, he said, watching as Bruce took off his hood and put on another one, as well as taking some items to take with him. Uraraka. But wouldn't they track the party money? Momo. Actually, there are many times when expensive things seem to be cheaper. I know this because when my parents have parties and don't want to spend a lot, they end up buying things or hiring cheaper but high-quality people. Uraraka. I mean, they're stingy. Momo. It's not true. Juro. That's true, they only do it when people they don't like go, so they don't spend money on them. Wait, on your birthday where we all went, they didn't do that. Momo. No. Yaoyorozu said, sweating at the sight of her friends, while Momo's parents were the same with the girl's parents. Robin. What are you wearing? Batman. Toxin neutralizers, more explosive and electric batarangs, smoke bombs, sonic bombs, a new bat claw, and more charges for the explosive gel. Said the bat while the green-haired man looked at him in surprise. Robin. Is there anything I should bring? Batman. MMHH ice bombs next to flash bombs. He said, to which the green-haired man nodded, but then he saw how Batman sat down and turned on the bat computer, watching the asylum's cameras, noticing the scarecrow in the ventilation part, poison ivy in the greenhouse, and Harley in the hallways, although she didn't seem to be a threat. Robin. Which one do we go for first? Batman. Crane, we better get the fear gas out of all of Arkham before it's too late. Robin. Yeah. Hey look, he said, pointing to one of the cameras where a robust man wearing a pig mask was seen taking a prisoner away. Aizawa. I guess that's the Professor Pig I'm talking about, he said, earning everyone's agreement. Batman. Valentine. Robin. It's that Professor Pig, isn't it? Batman. Yeah. Robin. Shall we go for the first one? Batman. The bat would see both monitors where Crane was and where he saw Pig, being a difficult decision but ending up making one. Batman. It is better to have more crazy people than more dead people. Robin. But everyone is crazy. Batman. More than they are, he said as he walked up the stairs with Izuku to go straight to Professor Pig. The duo, when they arrived at the scene, saw a light line of blood coming from the inmate who was recently attacked. So the duo started following the trail as they slowly heard a melody. Little by little, along with the melody, they could hear the voice of a man singing it and some screams of pain that soon stopped. Outside, several were scared. It was practically like a horror movie for them, while the professional heroes remembered the subjects they arrested, being that none were as crazy as those they were seeing. But this was more focused on an albino who remembered his days in the asylum, being that he never met or heard of any patient who was like those in Arkham. They both saw that the path ended at the medical wing of Arkham, so they opened the door, seeing Pig next to a patient who was on a stretcher. Both heroes watched the man cut the flesh of his victim while he continued singing his music. Robin. Professor Pig, he said this, drawing the man's attention upon hearing a voice other than Batman's. Professor Pig. Oh, what oink do we have here? Oink is another Robin. Oink. Robin. And that tick of making pig noises. Batman. He's had it since I've known him. It's time for you to return to your cell, Valentine, and stay there until you recover. Nezu. Can they recover, or is it just too hopeful? The presence. A little bit of both. Professor Pig. Oh no, oink. It's not ready yet. The ones here are so unique, oink. And not so innocent, worse innocent at the same time. Professor Pig. It's in very bad shape. Pig, the best fairy, she will make us all better. Robin. And I thought Shigaraki, Toga or Twice were crazy, this guy surpasses them by quite a bit. Batman. It's over. Professor Pig. But Pig can fix them, they'll be perfect. Like the others oink jijijiahajaja. Robin. No thanks, I prefer to be the way I am and not have my organs manipulated by a madman. Professor Pig. And yet you're partners with another madman. Batman. Robin, let's stop him. He said, to which Izuku would take out the bar ready to fight. Professor Pig. Bad. Baddie Pig is a creator, Pig is like God. Pig. He will fix us all. Oink. He said as the person on the stretcher stood up. Professor Pig. Go ahead, darling, show them how perfect you are. Everyone was just horrified and traumatized to finally see Pig, and more importantly, how he made the Dolatrons. Many of them wanted to throw up and the more religious ones almost fainted apart from being angry why Pig compared himself to God. Izuku and Batman were in front of the Dolotron that Pig had recently created, who saw this with a twisted smile. Professor Pig. Yes, oink, come on, darling. I scream as the Dolotron launched itself towards the hooded figure while Izuku launched himself towards Professor Pig, kicking him in the stomach. Professor Pig. Dear, he screamed as 3 more Dolatrons came out of the darkness to attack Izuku, while 5 more appeared to launch themselves at Batman. Toshinori. How many prisoners must have fallen at the hands of that monster? Iida. At the moment there are 9, counting the corpse 10, but surely there will have been more during the course of all that. To which the Robin would also begin to fight against the Dolatrons, quickly noticing that they got up despite the blows that would knock out an ordinary person. Robin. Hey Batman, how are you? But when he turned around to see how the Bat neutralized the Dolatrons, or so the freckled man thought, until he saw how Batman stabbed one of the Dolatrons in the head, killing him. Everyone saw that and their eyes were wide open, they couldn't believe that Batman had killed a person. Robin. What? But before he could say anything, one of the Dolatrons would hit him in the back of the head, rendering him unconscious. Everyone saw this with concern, especially Inko, who wanted to go help her son who was taken by Pig. Professor Pig. Well my dears, oink. Take care of that one, I'll take it so I'll be as perfect as you oink. He said as he took Izuku away, all being seen by Batman. The Bat saw that petrified, he was totally motionless watching how Pig took Izuku in his arms and took him to another room. Batman. No, not again. He yelled as he threw several explosive batarangs that stuck into the Dolatrons' chests, killing them, while Batman launched himself at Pig. Batman. Valentine. Professor Pig. That was what he said before receiving a blow that knocked out Professor Pig's teeth, followed by the mask. Mirio. He's definitely angry. He said, sweating a little when he saw the hooded man's brutal reaction upon seeing him. Aizawa. From what we know and from what that Harley said, the former Robin apparently resigned after a traumatic event that must also be related to this, but what could have happened? Following that, Batman would start hitting Professor Pig, causing blood to splatter all over the place. In the process, Pig tried to stop him but only managed to remove the mask that protected him from the Scarecrow's gas. However, this did not stop Batman, who only hit him more and more. Cements. Shit, he's crazy. Present Mike. Not even we were. Midnight. Mike, yes we went with. Midoriya, the woman said, reminding Mike what they did to the green-haired man, which made him fall and put on a sad look. Before giving him the final blow, the hooded figure would realize what he was doing, so he would release him, leaving the unconscious and seriously wounded Professor Pig. Aizawa. Despite everything, he still maintains his morale. He reminds me a bit of Knuckle Duster. The Bat would look at him as he took him along with Izuku and left Pig in his cell, and would go to the Bat Cave with Izuku. Nezu. I'd say it's bad, but he really deserved it. Toshinori. Completely agree, director. The green-haired man got up confused, looking around and noticing that he was on a stretcher. Robin. Where am I? Batman. Isn't it obvious? The hooded man asked, moving the curtain to see Izuku. Robin. Bruce. Batman. Are you okay? You took a hard hit. Robin. Just a little sore, but I'll be fine. He was going to continue the thing until he remembered what had happened and what he saw. Robin. Bruce, you. Batman. Mate, yes, except for Valentine. Robin. But, Batman. I killed them because they weren't human. Izuku. Hearing it, the green-haired man was confused and noticed by Batman. Batman. The Dolatrons, as I said, are operated and lobotomized by Valentine so that they lose all their will. For years I was looking for a way to cure them and help them, however it is impossible to return them to their previous states. The best thing would be to take their lives. Robin. There must be a way, you couldn't just give up on looking for a cure. Batman. Izuku, ever since I met Pig I've been looking for a cure for the Dolatrons, but nothing worked. I operated on them to make them better. I took them to the best therapists and psychiatrists in the world, but nothing. There's no cure for them. The hooded man said seriously while the green-haired man looked at him seriously. Nezu. It's like the Nomus, they can't be returned to normal so. Mount. Lady. They kill them. Midnight. When did you appear? He said looking at the blonde who was next to him. Mount Lady. From now on in this chapter. Midnight. Mount Lady. Not old at all. She said, earning an angry look from Midnight, while behind them Shoto and Shinso met to talk about a certain topic. Batman. I'll go get the others, you stay here. Izuku. Oh, of course not, I'll go with you. Batman. With what happened? No, you're staying here. He said as he walked away, and Izuku got up to put on his cape, mask, and gas mask. But when I reached the exit of the Batcave I noticed how the door closed. Izuku. Batman. Hey, come on, seriously, you're not going to leave me here, are you? I asked without receiving an answer, the answer being obvious to Izuku. Izuku. No way now, luckily I can use the Bat computer. Inko. Thank you Mr. Wayne. He said seeing how Batman forbade Izuku from leaving the Arkham Batcave. Akko. Mom, I think it would be best if he accompanied Izuku. After all he can help a lot. Inko. So he gets knocked out again. Akko. How many times have you been knocked out and you're still a hero? The green-haired girl asked, silencing her mother. He said as he went towards the Bat computer, while the Bat was running through the halls of Arkham seeing a shadow belonging to the Scarecrow. Batman. Crane. He shouted angrily as he followed the shadow, all the way until he reached the lower part of Arkham, more specifically the sewer. Looking around, not seeing the Scarecrow, but I could hear the water in the sewers moving and my most primitive survival instinct screaming at me to leave. The Bat, already knowing what it was, would climb up with the Bat claw, dodging a bite from a half-human, half-crocodile being. Batman. Croc. The hooded man said, now get down from the roof, standing face to face with the humanoid crocodile. Everyone was shocked to see such a being. Ryoka. What is that thing? Todoroki asked in surprise. The presence. That guy is called Waylon Jones. He was born with a strange condition on his skin that made him escape like a reptile. Juro. And that also gave him a crocodile head and a tail. The presence. The stress of his appearance and confinement in Arkham affected his illness, causing him to develop those more reptilian characteristics. He said, giving the explanation to everyone, and Kanoko, wanting to bother Setsuna, approached him. Kanoko. Mira Setsuna SAS2 Papa Setsuna. Hey, just because I have sharp teeth and like reptiles doesn't mean that. Kanoko. But your dad didn't disappear. There you have his whereabouts. A portal to that world must have opened in. Setsuna. Kanoko, my father abandoned me, he didn't disappear. Kanoko. Sorry, the brown-haired girl said to the green-haired girl who continued looking at the sphere. Killer Croc. Batman, you're finally here. Batman. He has changed a lot since the last time I saw him. Now his reptilian features are more noticeable. He thought as he dodged a downward strike from Killer Croc's tail. Batman. The tail is new. Killer Croc. It's an improvement. He said as he grabbed a pillar of bricks with his tail to throw it towards the Bat, who dodged it and threw some batarangs that stuck into Croc's skin. However, these batarangs did no harm to the crocodile, who simply waved his hand, easily removing the batarangs. Kirishima. Your body should be as strong as a titan's. Mineta. If not more. Seeing this, the Bat would start running to another area of the sewers, being followed by Croc. Killer Croc. "Don't run away, you damn coward." That's what he shouted until, without seeing him, Batman turned around a corner and climbed onto the roof, to give him a double kick in the face that sent the crocodile to the ground. The guard quickly began to hit Croc's face without giving him a second to react, until he was grabbed by the crocodile's tail, who slammed him against the ceiling and the floor. Once the guard got up a bit, he ended up receiving a punch from Killer Croc that slammed him against a wall, and then he was grabbed and received another punch. But before receiving a third blow, the hooded man dodged it and began to hit Croc's stomach, not affecting him at all, then dodged another blow but didn't see a sledgehammer blow that hit his head. Before receiving another blow from the crocodile, the Bat took his bat claw and managed to get out of there, only to take 3 batarangs in his hands. Killer. A few minutes ago you saw how that didn't do anything to me, what's the difference now? Batman. What are others? He said as he prepared his batarangs to throw. Nezu. He must have a plan, he always has one for these situations. Aizawa. Aside from the fact that they have different types of batarangs, so he could use another one that would hurt him. Before Killer Croc could react, he felt those 3 digging into his skin. He was going to remove them anyway until they burst and he saw his skin starting to freeze. Killer Croc. What? Killer Croc. What did you do to me? Wyss sit more. I asked as I fell unconscious from the cold. The Bat would only use the bat claw to return Killer Croc to his containment zone, in order to return to look for the Scarecrow. Kendo. Of course, being more reptilian, it is weak to the cold. Said the orange-haired girl, realizing that detail. Izuku. Hey, can you hear me? The green-haired man asked Batman through the cowl's communicator. Batman. Yeah, Izuku. Great, now can you open the door for me? Batman. No, I'm not going to let you do this anymore. Izuku. If it's because I got knocked out, it won't happen again. Batman. Pig almost took you to become another of his Dolatrons. Izuku. But you locked him up, right? Now you can get me out. Batman. Still, someone else could come and kidnap you, and I won't allow that. Izuku. God. Oh, by the way, you must come to the Bat Cave. Batman. I told you. Izuku. It's not because of that, you don't have the mask on for the Scarecrow. Batman. The Bat would only touch his face, noticing that he was indeed missing his mask. Batman. TCH, I was so focused on leaving Izuku there that I didn't realize I could use the oxygen tank. Oh right, I didn't refill it last time. The Bat thought with frustration, remembering that he had used the tank a few days ago. Izuku. So, do you come for the mask and open the door, or do you just stay there? Batman. TCH, fine, I'll go over there, but you'll stay there. Izuku. You know that's false, and I'll leave as soon as you open the door. Batman. It looks a lot like Robin. It was the time Bruce heard through the sewers of Arkham, but he got that thought out of his head. Many smiled when they saw Bruce and Izuku's interaction. Masaru. What a beautiful father-son relationship, because mine couldn't be like that. But when they heard the voice, everyone was confused and a chill ran down their spines when they heard it, while those of whoever, their animal instincts told them to run away from that place. Batman. Fine, but stay close to me, don't you dare fight alone, and most importantly, don't stop moving, don't let them hit you. And Izuku. Okay, I understand what you mean, Bat-Mom. Batman. Robin. Robin. Hey, calm down, I really understand, Batman. Good. Said the Bat as he ran towards the entrance of the Bat Cave. Upon arriving and opening the door, I would see Izuku in front of me with a mask in his hand. Robin. Here, thank me later, he said, giving him the mask that he put on hooded. Batman. Well, that's just Ivy, Crane, and Riddler left. He said, looking at the camera through which Hugo and Riddler were looking. Robin. Okay, how are we doing? Batman. In that order, we know Ivy is in the greenhouse, but Crane could be anywhere. Robin. Okay, let's go, he said while the hooded man nodded, so they both went out to the greenhouse, where when they arrived and entered there was no one. Abara. They must have made a mistake, right? Vlad King. I doubt it, she must be hiding to attack them. Robin. Are you sure I was supposed to be here? Batman. He's usually always here. Robin. So either he's hiding or he's not here, but how will we know he's here? The green-haired boy thought that without realizing it he had stepped on a flower. Robin. Eh. But before he could react, he was grabbed by some vines that took him to the deepest part of the greenhouse. Abara. Just for stepping on a flower? Monoma. She's like you, only instead of being obsessed with religion, she's obsessed with gardening. Abara. Not so much. Kendo. Abara. Yesterday I saw how you infiltrated the first-year class to make them hear the word of the Lord. Abara. They have strayed from the path of the Lord. Monoma. Listening to music that addresses certain themes that we all know does not mean that we have strayed from the path of the Lord. Vlad King. Stop fighting, what do you want to see? The albino shouted as he continued to see the sphere next to a barrel of popcorn. Kaminari. Where did you get that from? The presents. I just thought about it and gave it to him. Batman. Why do you tell me to stay close? He's very careless, don't you think? Those words were heard behind the bat, who turned around to find a dark silhouette holding a firearm. Hello. The BNHA characters looked in shock at the sphere that showed darkness. Kaminari. Maybe. Melissa. Batman died. The presents. No, gentlemen, not yet. Katsuki. And why is it completely dark? The presence. Dramatismo. He said as if it were nothing, making everyone who came back to see the sphere sweat. The hooded man stood with a look of shock under his mask. In front of him was the worst monster he had ever met in his entire fight as Batman. That monster who committed murders, destruction of property, acts of terrorism, acts of kidnapping, rape, and the list went on, and for Batman the worst was what he did to his partner, his friend, his son. As for that monster, he just laughed while a stick with a flag with the word, "Bang," came out of the gun. Joker. What memories, right? I still remember how this trick worked. While the bat looked at him with shock that quickly turned to anger. Batman. Joker. Joker. You seem very angry, Bats. Tell me what bothers you. Is it the shock of seeing me? Or did I remind you about your boy and your ex-pretty bunny? I ask only to receive a blow that didn't affect the Joker, in fact it had only passed through him. Outside the sphere, everyone watched in shock at Batman's thoughts and how the Joker acted. What had this guy done to make the vigilante think that about him? Toshinori. I feel like that guy is worse than AFO and Shigaraki. Joker. Oh no, dear, is this how you greet your old friends? What lack of manners for a millionaire. He said, seeing the furious look of the hooded man. Batman. How are you here? I witnessed you die. Joker. And I still am, but you forgot a little detail called fear gas. The bat frowned as he remembered that he hadn't been wearing a gas mask for a while. Uraraka. It seems that Batman's greatest fear is that guy. Toshinori. And from what he says, he had to do horrible things aside from the apparent death of the first Robin. Iida. Now that I see, he called him a millionaire, perhaps he. Joker. Well, tell me, how have you been? How have old Alfred and the dwarf been? Iida. He knows Bruce is Batman. Shoto. I read that in the first era of heroes, having a villain discover his identity was a death sentence for his family. He said, leaving many surprised, except for the professional heroes who knew about it. The bat just turned its back and started walking where they had taken Izuku. Joker. Hey, don't ignore me, he said, following the bat, who went to look for Izuku. While the clown tried to get Batman to talk, he just continued on his way, ignoring him, until the clown got fed up. Joker. Because of that attitude of yours, the dwarf came looking for me. Mina. At some point, are they going to ask us to show what happened to the first Robin? I'm already dying of curiosity, she said, supported by Toru and several other people. The presence. I'll show it to you sometime. Those words angered Batman, who this time managed to touch the clown and grabbed him by the neck. Batman. Shut up, you're nothing. You're just a manifestation of my mind, something that doesn't exist. You're just an illusion meant to drive me crazy. At those words the Joker just smiled widely at what he heard. Joker. Ha 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 ha. God, ha ha, bats, ha ha. Yeah, Yeah, you're crazy, you just deny it, believing yourself to be a hero, you're just a little boy who still cries for mom and dad. Batman just watched with fury as the Joker grew bigger and bigger, until he sighed and dropped the Joker. The Bat turned around and left the Joker there, who, still smiling, followed him. Echo. Batman, is he crazy? It was the question that many people asked themselves when they heard the Joker's words. It was noticeable that he had anger issues and a very bad attitude that would possibly be caused by the trauma of seeing his parents die. Many of Class 3A saw Batman as the Todoroki twins, who were the only ones as serious as the Bat. However, the green-haired boy managed to change that. While with Izuku, the green-haired man was holding onto his legs by some vines while in front of him there was a mutated plant similar to a carnivorous plant. Robin. I never thought I'd be in the role of a hostage, it's humiliating. Hearing that, the Bakugo twins could only understand what the green-haired boy felt when he was kidnapped by a villain. He thought until he saw a woman with red hair and clothes similar to leaves appear. Robin. And in my world they complained about Midnight's outfit, calling it revealing. It was the scream that Kaminari and Mineta let out when Jiru stuck his jacks into the bodies of both of them who were already going to talk and drool over the woman. Present Mike. None as revealing as Nermori-sans, I still remember what they called him on the street. Midnight. Thanks for the memories, the light blue-eyed girl said sarcastically. Robin. Excuse me, miss, but could you let me go? Ask only to receive a direct blow to the head. Monoma. It reminded me of me in Kendo. Kendo. I don't even hit you for no reason, I only do it when you're annoying, eh? Robin. And that? Poison Ivy. Why, you hurt one of my girls and you think you're just going to walk away like that? Robin. Girls? Do you mean the flower I stepped on? It's not that bad either. The green-haired man didn't finish because the carnivorous plant approached with its mouth open ready to eat him. At that the green-haired man swallowed hard and looked at the woman who was visibly angry. Yui. Not even Abara is that much of a nature lover, she takes it to another level. But before anything could happen, Batman had arrived and threw an ice batarang at the vines holding Izuku, followed by a normal batarang that destroyed the ice, making the green-haired man fall to the ground, while Poison Ivy sent the carnivorous plant to fight Batman. Aizawa. It wouldn't be that difficult, I mean with the ice batarangs and the explosive gel, if he has it he could stop them easily. While Izuku would be grabbed by Ivy by the face. Robin. Hey, what's up? He didn't finish speaking as he was kissed by Poison Ivy, leaving him in shock. Everything fell silent at the image before them. Izuku's ex-lovers were shocked by what they saw. Inko rolled her eyes at seeing her son being kissed by a villain. Everyone fell silent at that scene. But one of them watched this with bloodshot eyes. Aizawa. I failed you once, my son, but not this time. I won't let that woman take your innocence away from you. The black-haired man thought that he would have asked the Presence to send him if it weren't for the fact that Mike and Midnight were arrested. While being kissed by the redhead, Izuku's eyes turned bright green and his surprised and nervous expression turned into a stoic one. While the Bat was fighting against the carnivorous plant, where the Bat threw several fire batarangs, which managed to defeat the plant. Joker. Wow, fire batarangs are something new. Batman. Shut up. The Bat whispered before receiving a kick that sent him to the ground. When he got up he saw Izuku with his stoic gaze and his eyes shining green. Tokiyami. It seems that his power, apart from controlling plants, he has one that is like Shinso's, only instead of talking he has to kiss him. Shoto. Shinso. Don't even come up with any weird theories. Shoto. Don't ask me to stop being me. Joker. Oh, another Robin? I never believed that about you, Bats. What would Jay think of this? Before finishing, both saw how the green-haired man jumped and began to exchange blows with the Bat, who defended himself without trying to harm the green-haired man. But then, the green-haired boy would be thrown by the Bat, but not before giving him a kick that left him on the ground. Quickly Robin would take some smoke bombs and throw them, which exploded covering the hooded man. Joker. Come on, Bats. With the chair. The clown shouted as the hooded man punched him twice in the face, kneed him in the stomach and threw him towards a tree where he hit him in the stomach and face. However, The green-haired man swept the bat's feet and stepped on its neck, but his leg would be grabbed and he would be thrown to the ground. Stopping quickly, the guard stood up and grabbed him by the cape to hit him several times. But quickly, Izuku would take a batarang from his belt and try to stab Batman in the neck, who took two of his own and began to fight against the green-haired man, who managed to take the belt from Batman. The bat quickly disarmed Izuku and threw him to the ground, starting to hit him to knock him out. Joker. This is getting better than I expected. The Joker shouted as Batman saw that Izuku was unconscious and his nose was bleeding. Aizawa. Mirda. Midnight. Definitely has a lot of anger issues. Batman. Izuku. Joker. Oh, so his name is Izuku. What a strange name. Is he a foreigner? And look, did you dye his hair green? Did you miss me that much, dear? The Joker asked mockingly as the bat lifted the freckled man, but then some branches stuck in his back making him fall. Poison ivy. This isn't over yet, Batman, she said as more roots came out and headed towards the bat, who used the bat claw and climbed up to avoid the redhead's attack. Joker. Wait. You forgot me. The hooded man quickly left the greenhouse while the ivy vines followed him. Batman quickly reached the entrance to the bat cave, where he managed to lose Ivy's vines. Joker. Oh. The old bat cave. It's not like the one in your mansion, but I still remember it very well. I still remember when Alfred shot me with a shotgun, ha ha ha. But the Joker's comment was ignored by Batman, who took Izuku to the stretcher and gave him the cure for Ivy's hypnosis, as well as began to heal his wounds. Joker. MMMHH. You know, that kid doesn't look at anything. They're going to kill him as soon as he's alone. Batman. He's not alone, and he never will be. Joker. Ha 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 ha, that dwarf was alone his whole life. How do you know you're not like his sister and mother? How do you know that the love you have is authentic? How do you know you're not like Inko and Akko? I mean, you almost kicked him out of your mansion. If it weren't for Alfred, he'd be alone like you. Said the Joker while Batman just sat waiting for the cure to take effect, while at the same time, he sent a message to Alfred to send him the team to fight Ivy. The bat also took a neutralizer to get rid of the Joker. Joker. Oh really? Are you going to get rid of me like a coward? That you can't handle reality? You know what, do it, come on, take that and show that despite everything you are still a coward who can't stand that his own conscience reminds him of what he is, a child who saw his parents die. You are not a hero, you are not revenge, you are not justice, you are not a symbol, you are just a man who can't get over his past. At these words the bat hesitated whether to take the formula. Joker. Come on, take it. However, the clown put the neutralizer aside and sat down to wait for Izuku and the team. Joker. Ah, I knew you missed me, but the bat didn't say anything and just waited for Izuku while the Joker sat next to him with a big smile. Izuku could be seen waking up after being violently knocked out by Batman, who was next to him taking a mini nap. Present Mike. He and Now share many things. Midnight. Yeah, and not to insult Emmy, but they even have their own loving Joker with them. Vlad King. I wonder how it is that he is Bruce Wayne by day and Batman by night and Aizawa is sleepy all the time. Aizawa. Actually no, I stay awake because of a ninja technique that was used to stay awake most of the time. It consists of taking small naps for 24 hours, whether short or long, and with that, forming a sleep cycle between breaks. Akko. Is that why he sleeps during class hours? Asked the green-haired girl who was silenced by Aizawa. Nezu. What do you mean, sleeping during classes? Aizawa. Before he leaves I'll make him suffer hell. Oh right, today they graduated. But feeling Izuku's gaze, the bat would rise. Batman. Izuku, are you okay? Izuku. Why yeah. With a little color in the face, but okay. Batman. Well, I checked you out and luckily you don't have any fractures. Izuku. That's good. And what happened to me? Batman. Ivy controlled you and forced you to fight me, so I had no choice but to neutralize you. Izuku. Can I still walk? Batman. Yeah, Kaminari. Batman wouldn't do that to him, right? Juru. Idiot means that if he broke her legs, nothing else. Mika. Like he did to you, right? Haha. She thought, remembering a rather embarrassing moment between her, Juru and Kaminari. Izuku. In that case, he said as he got up from the stretcher and put on his mask. Robin. Let's continue, Batman. They look too much alike. He said while smiling slightly at Izuku's attitude. Robin. But how could he control me? I mean, I don't want to wake up with a sore face again. Batman. You really don't remember. Robin. Well. The green-haired boy was going to deny it, until he remembered how it happened by turning him red. Uraraka. Ah, Mina. It reminds me of when you, Ryoka-chan or Yaomomo would approach her ha ha ha. He said, remembering how nervous the green-haired man got when he spoke with the three of them, especially because of the seduction attempts Midnight tried to apply to him. Batman. I see you've remembered. Izuku. Why yes, Batman. Well, but we have to be careful, we don't know if. The watchman could not finish, as some vines began to appear from the darkness of the cave, starting to destroy it. Abara. Well, they are plants, it was obvious that they could enter the cave. Yui. True, but it must be the first time he does it since there is no security system for that, and knowing Mr. Wayne he must have put one. Setsuna. Does it have to happen for me to install that system? Knowing him, I would have installed it before even meeting her. Robin. What the fuck? He said as he turned his back to Batman. So both of them started throwing batarangs of ice and fire, with the aim of neutralizing the vines. Robin. Hey, isn't there a plan for these things? How do I not know, a flamethrower or something? Setsuna. See, I told you he definitely has something. I asked while throwing 2 fire batarangs. Batman. No flamethrower, but something for these plants. He said as the Batmobile was seen arriving at the cave, where the guard approached to take something from it. Robin. What did you bring? Batman. You'll see, he said while other plants came out behind him. The guard would jump in while activating the saws, starting to cut the roots and plants that came out. All. What money can do. Meanwhile, a pink-haired girl with yellow eyes wrote down all those babies in a notebook to later make them in her workshop. However, these same ones were too many. Despite the batarangs and the great help of the saws, these plants came out from all parts of the Batcave. Robin. Shit is like a hydra, we cut one and like 500 come out. Batman. I was very fond of this cave. Robin, cover me while I activate the self-destruct protocol. Robin. You have a self-destruct code. Monoma. What is an innator in that cave? The Bat ignored the green-haired man's question and started to head towards the Bat computer, which was surrounded by vines and plants that the Bat cut with the saws. At the same time, Izuku also protected Batman until they reached the Bat computer. Batman. Okay, I'll be quick, hold on alone. Robin. Okay. He said watching as several plants launched themselves at him, but the freckled man began to cut them with his normal batarangs and also destroyed them with ice and fire batarangs. It only took the guard about 2 minutes to activate the Batcave's self-destruct code, where he then grabbed Izuku and they both quickly left while the place collapsed. As they left, they both gasped for air, but Izuku and Bruce quickly put on their gas masks. Robin. Do you think we consumed the gas? Batman. I don't know, just in case I have the neutralizers, let's go. He said, to which the green-haired man nodded, making both of them walk through the asylum. Momo. Do you think that guy will come back? Iida. Without a doubt. Shoto. It's most likely, the issue is when. Robin. We have to go after Ivy, otherwise this will all be even worse. Batman. She was able to sneak her plants into the Batcave, we definitely need to neutralize her. Robin. Sire. Well, you better go and I'll go for the Scarecrow since it would be faster. Batman would just look at the freckled man who was nervous. Katsuki. Miyadoso. Hitsumi. It's like you with the old lady when she gets really angry. He said mockingly, only to receive a blow to the head like his brother from his mother. Batman. You're really bad with women, it was just a kiss, it's not like I'm going to abuse you. He said as if nothing had happened while he continued walking, being followed by the freckled man. Robin. It's not that, he literally wants me to be eaten by a carnivorous plant. Batman. Welcome to the club. He said without flinching at Izuku's words, who just sighed, staying a little behind. Aizawa. She didn't abuse my ex-offspring, right? I asked the presence, who just shook his head, relieving Aizawa. Robin. Ah, This will be bad for me, he said, walking back a few meters behind the bat, who saw a plant similar to a rose in its red bud form. Being in the middle, the bat prepared a batarang and threw it, being shocked by what he saw. The red rose, when it fell to the ground, transformed into a red cloth that covered a young man with black hair and who was wearing a Robin costume. Mina. So this is what the first Robin looks like. Tori. Mina-chan, this is not the time to be happy, he said, pointing to the situation that was in the sphere. Joker. But what do we have here? Said the clown, who had behind him a steel bar with a bright orange tip. This caused fear and anger on the face of the young man who saw the smiling clown. Joker. Updermaloon, he said as he walked around the young man, where the tension was very noticeable. Everyone just stood there quietly watching this, while the adults with minors nearby covered their ears and eyes as they had a bad feeling. Joker. Do you think I'm going to hurt you? Because I'm not the bad guy here. Oh no, 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 he said as he stood in front of the young man. Joker. It's Batman. He abandoned you, like a poor puppy on the street. Joker. Oh, can I keep Daddy? Please, please, I promise to take good care of him, he said, standing on the opposite side where she was and faking a girl's voice as he knelt down. To then return to his previous place, this time imitating his father. Joker. Anything that makes you happy, princess, but make sure people know it's yours, he said as he snapped his fingers and the ropes holding the young man's hands fell, allowing him to crawl as his hands and feet were still tied. Joker. You don't want me to end up here again, do you? Joker. Of course not, Daddy. I'm never going to lose him, he said, getting closer to the young man, looking at how at the tip of the stick there was a mark to make a J. Robin. And no, no, please, no, the young man pleaded desperately and terrified, pleas that fell on deaf ears as the Joker put the red-hot J on the black-haired man, and Batman could see how Robin's flesh was burned along with the part of his suit where he had the letter R. Quickly the screams of pain and the sound of burning flesh soon invaded the place before Batman's stoic gaze. Being that behind his mask he showed some eyes alight, having forgotten how many times he saw that scene along with others. Batman, Batman, Batman. The scream brought the bat out of his trance, seeing that the red cloth had turned into a rose again, and next to him was a worried Izuku. Robin. Are you okay? You stared into space for a few minutes. Batman. I'm fine, Jay. Robin. Let's move on, he said, to which the green-haired man nodded, not very convinced. Both went to the greenhouse where Ivy was. Silence. It was the only thing in that whole place. No one could believe what they saw. A boy of no more than 15 years old had just been tortured by that guy, and the worst thing is that from his wounds it was clear that he had been going through days with that clown. Anger, helplessness, shock, and fear began to flood everyone's bodies, all those feelings generated by the Joker with a single display of his twisted mentality. Nezu. Mr. The Presence. How long was the boy tortured by the Joker? The Presence. 1 year. Hearing that, everyone was petrified. 1 year, 12 months, 52 weeks, 365 days, 8,760 hours, all that time available for the Joker to do whatever he wanted with the first Robin. The Presence. You better take a break to calm down, he said, to which many nodded, thus passing a few hours where everyone was able to calm a little of the anger they had towards the Joker and continued watching. Robin. P-Plan. Batman. Stop stuttering, it was just a kiss, he said, something already recovered from his previous vision with the first Robin and Joker. Robin. It was my first kiss. Batman. Why? The Bat knew perfectly well the issue of cultural differences between Japan and the United States, but despite that he didn't fully understand the first kiss. It was just a kiss, not a first time, and there he sees a little more logic in not giving it to just anyone. Nezu. Well, that's true. The cultural difference can weigh a lot. From what I know, if a Latino came to Japan he would find the actions we take very strange or stupid, and vice versa with us. Robin. You know what, forget it. Batman. I don't know, he said stoically, giving the green-haired man a tinge. Both of them just walked until they saw Ivy lying on a carnivorous plant. Shoto. The Lord of the Night making jokes. As long as he's not a walking joke like other Batmans, it's fine by me. Batman. Fine, I'll go against Ivy and you against the plants. Robin. Thank you, he whispered as the Bat gave him the saws to cut the plants, and once he did he launched himself to be in front of the redhead. Poison Ivy. OWW, and I was waiting for the Robin. He said, giving Izuku a shiver, who insisted on cutting more plants. Aizawa. I can't let justice do all the work, he thought as he hit a shotgun and checked a futuristic watch that gave me a feeling, dressed in red and black, that appeared out of nowhere and looked like a madman. Batman. It's over, Pamela. Return to your cell peacefully, she said, but then Ivy pulled out a green vine that covered her. The guard just sighed in disappointment, but he couldn't say he was surprised by this. So, Ivy threw the vine towards the Bat, which dodged it and then threw some batarangs that, when they hit, exploded the vine. To then go up to Ivy and give her 3 blows to the stomach. I tried to kick her, but it would be stopped by Ivy's forearm. Poison Ivy. Harley wasn't the only one who got something good out of us, he said mockingly, pulling a vine from the ground and catching the Bat by the leg. But he quickly cut the vine with a batarang and then threw some smoke bombs, blinding Ivy, who received several cuts from the batarangs, which exploded shortly after cutting, causing greater damage to Ivy. However, the redhead touched the ground, from which 2 gigantic carnivorous plants emerged. Batman. Robin. Robin. I'll be right there, he screamed as he launched himself at both plants, smashing them to pieces with the saws. Poison Ivy. No, I screamed as I saw the plants dying, just as I saw the corpses of the others. Poison Ivy. Wow, Robin. The whore, he thought as he trembled a little at the sight of the huge amount of plants coming out of the ground. Robin. You must knock her out now. Batman. The say, he said, using the bat claw to dodge the plants, and once he was close he would use an ice batarang that froze Ivy's feet, to then appear in front of her and take a handkerchief from his baton, which he placed on the woman's mouth and nose. At first he resisted, but little by little he became unconscious, and along with that, the money slowly fell as it was no longer controlled. Robin. Phew, chloroform. Batman. Chloroform, let's get her there before she wakes up. Robin. Yes. Both would start walking to Ivy's cell until a question occurred to Izuku. Robin. Hey, how can he fall asleep with chloroform if he's immune to drugs? Batman. It's a special mixture, it's much more powerful and effective. The bad thing is that I can only use it once, and the next time it won't work since his body will neutralize it. Robin. I see. Well, arriving at the cell, he said as Bruce put Ivy inside her cell. Batman. Now that she's locked up, will you stop being so nervous? Robin. Why you Inko? She'll never let go of that side of her. The presence. If I only knew. Batman. Come on, he said, to which the green-haired man followed him, saying that only the Scarecrow, Hugo Strange and the Riddler were missing to finish all this. Elsewhere, a dark-skinned woman could be seen watching what was happening at Arkham, according to police reports. Man. Miss Waller. What are we doing? Amanda. Call him and tell him to prepare for this mission, to kill Riddler. Woman. But Batman and his new partner are already in Arkham, it wouldn't be Ma. Amanda. I don't care, Riddler must be dead, call him, he said, to which the man nodded while the woman felt bad knowing the guy a little. At that point a call would come into the base and be answered by Amanda. It's a rule, right? Amanda. It isn't. TCH, good. At that the figure after the call would hang up and go to a closet, taking many weapons and armor with black and silver parts, and gray military clothing with red parts. Arkham Knight. The Arkham Knight reporting ready for the mission. The duo could be seen in the halls of Arkham taking down the remaining criminals while searching for the Scarecrow. Nezu. Excuse me, Mr. The Presence. The Presence. Tell me, Mr. Nezu? Nezu. I wanted to ask, with respect to everyone, about the Arkham Knight. The Presence. Do you want to see him? I asked. What everyone started whispering among themselves, to which Nezu spoke again after a while. Nezu. If it's not a bother, yes, the Presence. It's okay, he said as the sphere stopped showing the duo and showed the Arkham Knight. You could see how Arkham Knight was getting off a helicopter, already on the roof. Arkham Knight. Waller, I'm already on the roof, he said, touching the side of his helmet. Waller. Okay, now go in and solve this problem once and for all. Arkham Knight. See. That's what he said as he walked down to the asylum's yard, seeing a few inmates there. Lady Nagant. That woman looks like the ones on the commission. Stain. Because they're bossy. Lady Nagant. No, because of the fat. Of course, because Voldemort is bossy. The Arkham Knight quickly defeated everyone, leaving many with several broken bones. The Arkham Knight would be entering the halls of the asylum, seeing several inmates he recognized. Arkham Knight. And they're still here. Despite so many years of therapy, they're still the same. He said while pointing a gun at one of the cells, which had the name, Victor Josh. Arkham Knight. So many people killed. So much suffering they've caused. He said as the gun approached the system that kept the door closed. Just as I pulled the trigger and opened the door, a voice was heard. Waller. Arkham Knight, remember, your mission is to capture the escaped inmates, not kill the imprisoned ones. The only one you are allowed to kill is Riddler. The woman said seriously, making the soldier react. Arkham Knight. Sorry. I got distracted, Waller. Don't get distracted and do your job. The knight just nodded as he went back through the asylum, finding several criminals that he imprisoned. Several people saw this with pity. It was obvious that the gentleman had a serious problem with criminals. However, Nezu watched this thoughtfully. He remembered all the villains who never recovered, and the only way was to give him the death penalty. And now that I thought about it, why is AFO, the worst villain of all, the one who committed various crimes of all kinds, still alive? Why wasn't he sentenced to death? That doubt left Nezu intrigued, remembering the various trials he was subjected to and in which he was only given a life sentence. Something told him that something bad was happening, very bad. Until, while crossing a corner, I ended up colliding with a woman I knew very well. Arkham Knight. Harley Quinn. He said, seeing the blonde in blue, red and white clothes getting up and looking at him with surprise and intrigue. Harley Quinn. Wow. How did you change your suit, Batman? Arkham Knight. 1,001 things were going through the knight's mind, but one in particular. A young man of no more than 16 years old could be seen, who was tied to a wheelchair, with blood falling from his head. At that point, the door of the place opens, showing a Harley Quinn who was wearing an Arkham psychiatrist uniform. Harley Quinn. Well, boy wonder, tell me, how did you feel in this place? Robin. HHHHHH. Harley Quinn. Oh, you're speaking so poorly, dear. I think I'd better wake up those brain cells, and I have a perfect shape. He said as he led Robin to another room where there was an electric chair. Robin. No. Harley Quinn. Calm down. Arkham Knight, it will be quick and very painful. He said, smiling as he placed Robin in the chair. He tried to free himself if it weren't for the fact that he received a blow with Harley's bat on his arms and legs, breaking his bones. Harley Quinn. Okay, electricity therapy begins. Robin. No. Please stop, Harley Quinn. Yaw. He screamed as he pulled down a lever and a powerful shock was sent towards the black-haired man, who only let out a scream of pure pain at what he felt. Everyone was in shock. Now they understood everything. The Arkham Knight was Batman's first Robin. Momo. That explains his hatred for criminals. Uraraka. The torture she suffered at the hands of Joker and Harley must have been too upsetting, since Batman had said that he and Izuku looked alike in the past and he wouldn't do any of that. He said, remembering what Batman said about Izuku's attitude, and also feeling bad knowing that he couldn't affectionately call him Deku-kun after what he did to me, and neither could Midoriya since he didn't have that last name. The knight was looking down on Harley until he grabbed her by the neck and slammed her against the wall. Arkham Knight. Harley Quinzel. Harley Quinn. Hey, that voice, aren't you Batman? I ask only to be thrown to the floor and kicked in the ribs. Harley Quinn. Oh. Now you bastard. The blonde screamed as she tried to hit him with the bat, which was destroyed by the Arkham Knight with an explosive and hit the blonde directly in the stomach. Arkham Knight. You're going to pay for everything you did to me. I screamed as I grabbed Harley and slammed her against a wall. Following that, I proceeded to hit him a lot all over his body without letting him take a breath. However, despite that, the blonde was able to take a little distance, leaving her enough time to try to counter the attacks of the knight, who simply continued with his blows. Harley Quinn. Shit, this guy is definitely not Batman. He's not that strong. Will his armor do it? That was what he asked himself when he felt that the Arkham Knight's blows were stronger than Batman's. Until at one point the knight managed to hit the blonde directly in the face, leaving her bewildered. Only to immediately receive a blow that dragged her to a wall where she nailed herself, leaving her unconscious. The knight then pulled out a weapon but was again interrupted by Waller. Waller. I know you want to kill her, but you can't. Arkham Knight. This is bullshit. Why shouldn't I kill her? Especially someone like her. Waller. Future plans for what she could be useful for. Arkham Knight. What do you mean? Sex worker. From what I read in your background, you have experience in that field. Waller. Just leave her in her cell, and if not, you know what will happen to you. Arkham Knight. TCH. Clicking his tongue in annoyance, the Arkham Knight roughly led Harley back to her cell, hoping the damage inflicted was at least enough to paralyze her. Everyone watched the fight in surprise. The Arkham Knight's armor definitely increased his strength, as he remembered Harley's fight with Batman and the trouble he gave her, while the Arkham Knight defeated her with ease. So the knight was through the halls of Arkham, stopping more and more criminals, until he reached a zone. In this same place he found the door locked, so he extended his arm to the ceiling and a hook came out of it, which allowed him to pass to the other side through a hole already made, seeing two people. One of them was Batman and the other was the Scarecrow. The latter was found with a metal box, which using his X-ray viewer he noticed that inside there was a type of gas. He didn't have to be a genius to know what gas was in that box, so he took his rifle and pointed it at the Scarecrow's arm. Thus, the Arkham Knight shot the Scarecrow's arm, making him drop the box and at the same time allowing the Arkham Knight to land a blow that knocked him out. All this before the eyes of Batman and someone else that he didn't notice. Robin. Batman, do you know this guy? Batman. No. He said, looking at the Arkham Knight seriously. Shoto. Oh, the reunion of Batman and the first Robin is coming. Before you put it in the comments, no, it's not Jason Todd. He said, earning strange looks from everyone. NG approached Ray to whisper something to her. NG. Ray, I know we don't get along very well because of what I did, but I think it's best to take Shoto to the... Ray. Don't worry, they'll give us a discount since I've been a patient for so many years. NG. Well, Nezu. Ignoring the clear signs of young Todoroki's mental instability, could you show us how Batman and young Izuku found the Scarecrow? The Presence. Claro. With Batman and Robin, minutes ago. The duo were by the asylum, where Batman would use a vision system to see where the fear gas was coming from. This helped them greatly, since at that time they were in a chase with the Scarecrow, who used the maze of Arkham's corridors to escape. Which was of no use since both Batman and Robin were following him, which made the Scarecrow even more nervous. Until at one point, he would enter a room blocking the entrance, where he ended up bringing said box he had to an air pipe that would end up expanding the fear gas to a great extent. But then, the top of the wall would be destroyed by Batman and Robin. Juro. That explains the hole at the top of the wall. He said, getting rid of the doubt about where the hole came from through which the Arkham Knight arrived. Batman. Scarecrow. Scarecrow. Damn it, Batman. If you give up, maybe you have a chance. Robin. Of returning to your cell with your bones intact. Izuku said with amusement, under Batman's stoic gaze and Crane's slight nervousness. Katsuki. Is it just me, or did Izuku's personality change a lot out of nowhere? Kirishima. Perhaps it's a means of psychological response due to the trauma we put him through by betraying him. Shoto. Or maybe it's a joke to lighten the mood and make him forget his fears and insecurities of facing high-level villains who, if they were in our world, the vast majority would leave us 3 meters underground. But before saying anything, he would feel a great pain in his arm being shot by Arkham Knight. Which brings us to the current situation, where the vigilante duo were face to face with Waller's soldier. The soldier was serious and inside with great anger, until he noticed Izuku as Robin. Arkham Knight. Does he have another Robin? Despite what I suffered, he left me on the damn street and went looking for someone else. The soldier thought furiously as he looked at Batman, although this was not noticeable because of his helmet. Batman. Who are you? The Bat asked the Arkham Knight seriously, who only turned his back on the guard to go after the Riddle and kill him to relieve stress. Arkham Knight. Gotham's new protector, he said, leaving the place before the serious look of the Bat and the confusion of the Robin. Robin and Batman could be seen looking in the direction Arkham Knight went. Robin. Another guard. Batman. I'll look into your information later, he said seriously as he walked away, being followed by Izuku. Nezu. Reminded me of myself. Midnight. Only he does it after solving a crime and you do it after finishing your cheeses. Nezu. It's a lifestyle I must lead. Nezu. I hope they don't find out I bought them by lowering their salaries. The unidentified white-furred animal thought nervously. Robin. Plan. Batman. Riddler must be in the Arkham Asylum warden's office, so we're going there, but we have to be careful. Robin. How many plans can you have? Batman. I don't know either, sometimes it's unpredictable, he said seriously as he continued walking, being followed by Izuku. Shoto. MMHHH. Thank goodness they're going to nerf it because it's too difficult for the author to use. Ryoka. Can someone change my seat? Todoroki's. Us too. All the members asked except Shoto, and no one said anything, making the answer clear. While in the chamber's offices, a nervous Riddler could be seen next to a surprised Hugo Strange. Hugo. Wow, I wasn't expecting another Bat-themed vigilante. Riddler. Forget that, we have to go now. Hugo. Calm down, Riddler, we have a little more time to analyze this new individual. Riddler. TCH. You stay here, I'm leaving, he said, leaving the camera office, leaving Hugo Strange watching them, more specifically where Arkham Knight was seen. Shinso. That guy will be a problem in the future. Tokiyami. Well, he has access to Arkham and its patients, he could not only lock Batman up but also release them all over the city to tire him out and confront him with some machine or something like that to defeat him. The Presence. Akaniho. Latino al futuro de Izuku. He thought with amusement, remembering a certain future fight of Izuku. Con Riddler. The chestnut tree was in the Arkham warden's office, which had an emergency exit in case the inmates escaped. He himself had taken that escape route. Riddler. A new vigilante, this will be interesting. Arkham Knight. Better said, it would have been interesting, he said behind him while pointing a gun at the back of Riddler's head. Shinso. Yui, this is not going to end well for us. Arkham Knight. Drop the staff with the hook, he said, and Riddler obeyed as he raised his hands. Shinso. And definitely not for Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight. Waller, I have the Riddler here. Amanda. Okay, you know what to do. Arkham Knight. Understood, last words Riddler. Riddler. Yeah, rot in hell with the Joker, Robin. Hearing that, several were impressed. How did Riddler know that he was the original Robin? How much intelligence and skill did he have to come to that conclusion? No one, not even the smartest ones like Nezu, could understand that. Arkham Knight. I'm surprised they figured it out so quickly, he said calmly as he activated the weapon, so Riddler would fall dead to the ground. Arkham Knight. Mission complete. Amanda. Okay, you can go back home. Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight. Entendido, Waller, he said as he walked away, leaving Riddler's corpse. Kirishima. Boat, he said, watching how Shoji finished vomiting upon seeing that scene. Only to pass it to Kirishima, who also vomited. Many in the room also wanted to vomit, others didn't wait for the bucket, and others had already seen worse things and weren't affected as much. While with the duo, both had arrived at the camera office where they were being watched. They both looked around the place, noticing that there was no one there. Robin. Looks like I'm escaping. Batman. They got away, he said, seeing how there were 2 free seats that had been moved, indicating that 2 people sat in each one. Batman. Let's go to the manager's office, there's an emergency exit. He couldn't finish looking at a specific camera. This showed an apartment in which there was a woman with short red hair. Midnight. Another illusion? Toshinori. It must be, otherwise it would be strange if they watched a woman's room all the time, he said, giving several chills and some ideas to some. But a jack from Giroux was more than enough to get those ideas out of our heads. The woman was watching television until she heard her doorbell ring. Woman. It must be Bruce, the woman said as she walked towards the door and opened it. The woman was going to kick, but then the gun was fired, hitting her right in the stomach. The Bat just clenched his fists at what he saw, until he heard a gasp watching another camera. In this one, the first Robin was shown tied to a chair. This one had several wounds, his suit was stained with blood and was burned. Joker. Oh wow, how have you been, Wonder Boy? I hope Harley wasn't too mean about your special treatment. He said, seeing how the boy had a look of fear. The clown, seeing the black-haired man's reaction, only widened his smile even more. Joker. Ha 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 ha, I love that look you have, boy, she said as she wrapped her arm around his neck and ruffled his hair. Joker. But hey, you know kid, this is going to be special, I'll send it to Batman. He said, seeing how the black-haired man's eyes lit up a little. Joker. But I don't know when, maybe today or tomorrow. Or the day after. Or maybe in years, who knows, but oh well. He said as he saw a bag and started checking it. Joker. From tin, brown, from dew, pingay. He said as he finally grabbed a rusty crowbar. Joker. Ah, good old Marta. Do you want to say hello to her? I ask, putting the end of the crowbar to Robin's chin. Joker. Come on, oh, you're rude, he said, hitting him on the head, knocking him to the ground. Joker. Didn't Batsy teach you how to greet people when you meet them? Now Marta's really offended by it. Joker. Oh. What are you saying, Mar? Do you want to punish this rude child? Well, if you insist. Robin. Batman, hit, help me, hit P, hit please, hit. Robin. Batman, Batman. Robin. Izuku. Batman. Izuku shouted, bringing Batman out of his trance, who was staring at the Joker's cell. Robin. We really need to talk after this. Batman. Next, we must stop the Riddler and his partner. Robin. Any background? Batman. None. Riddler has allied with other villains, but not as a partner, and most are locked up in Arkham. Robin. Maybe some guard with access. Batman. It's most likely, but we must find him to interrogate him. He said as Robin nodded at the Bat's words. In the face of what they saw, many only felt both pity and helplessness for not being able to do something. Many wanted to go to that place to help that world, but they knew they couldn't even if they begged the presence. So they just watched while wishing Izuku luck, since they knew this fight was going to last a while. The two would arrive at the office with the emergency exit, where after walking for a few minutes they saw Riddler's corpse. Robin. Maybe. The Bat approached the man and saw the bullet wound that ran from side to side of his head. Batman. He's dead, Robin. You think that? Batman. Arkham Knight lo hizo. Robin. But we don't know anything about him, maybe. Batman. Not knowing anything about him, nor his intentions or methods, we only know that he wants to be a protector, something that many do wrong by killing criminals instead of locking them up. The Bat said as he left Arkham Knight with Izuku, carrying the Riddler's corpse. Lady Nagant. In defense of the Bat robot, several of them never change no matter how many years they are given, it is best to kill those. Nezu. What are you saying? Lady Nagant. The truth is, look idiots, I was in prison, I saw many things and heard many things, several if not all of the people who were there had already committed atrocious crimes. Lady Nagant. Some managed to escape and others died, but the point is that they never changed, they never regretted what they did. There are some who did. I'm not saying that all criminals are the same, but there were some who had already committed so many crimes that I can't understand why they weren't given a death sentence. She said it would be the purple, pink-haired one to Nezu, who could only accept that the woman in front of him was right in that regard. Ethan. Batman, what happened? He asked the Bat upon seeing the Riddler's corpse. He knew perfectly well that Batman was not capable of doing something like that, but the others. Batman. There's a new vigilante called the Arkham Knight. Ethan. How is it? Robin. He wears a gray military uniform with some red trim, along with dark blue armor on his chest, shoulders, and forearms, along with a helmet similar to Batman's hood. He said, leaving Ethan surprised by the detailed description along with that. Ethan. Another one. Batman. I'll tell you later. Robin. It's a pleasure to meet you, Commissioner Bennett. Izuku said, extending his hand to Ethan, who shook it. Ethan. The pleasure is mine, Robin. Batman. Let's go, we have to go find information. Robin. Yes, Batmom. He said, remembering the nickname they gave Aizawa among the class. I still didn't like them because of what happened, but I couldn't deny that the nickname was good. Hearing that nickname, the students of Class A could only snicker while Aizawa's head bulged. Aizawa. Disrespectful brats, the black-haired man whispered somewhat angrily. So they got into the Batmobile and went to the Batcave. Once they arrived, they saw Alfred, who had a tray with some cookies and tea. Alfred. Master Bruce, Master Izuku, do you want to? I asked, offering the food and tea to the guards. Batman. No thanks. Izuku. They are, he said as he started to eat. Batman. Good. He said, taking off his hood and looking at Izuku and Alfred. Bruce. Whose idea was it? Alfred. It was mine, sir. Bruce. And why did you tell him? Alfred. You needed help, and young Izuku has experience fighting criminals, so I suggested helping him with the Robin suit. Bruce. Alfred, you know what happened. Alfred. The Joker died 5 years ago, sir. He needs help against the new crime in Gotham and Master Izuku. Yes, he needs training, but only that. For the rest he can be very helpful. The butler said calmly at Bruce's serious look. Analyzing the pros and cons of all this, certainly Izuku could help him in some cases, but the problem is that he didn't want to be kidnapped, not like the previous one. But leaving that aside, there were more pros than cons. At that, the black-haired man would only sigh, knowing that he would have no other option at the moment. Bruce. Fine, but with some conditions. Izuku. Which ones? Bruce. You will not leave my side, you will follow my orders without question. The slightest mistake I make in obeying an order and you're out, understood? Izuku. Hello. The green-haired man stated in Japanese, something that Bruce knew since he was multilingual. Bruce. Okay, now go to sleep. He said seriously, to which Izuku nodded, leaving the Batcave, leaving the butler and guard. Bruce. I don't want it to happen again. Alfred. I know, sir, but don't let it happen again. Trust Master Izuku and you'll see that he's ready for this. Bruce just sighed as he left the Batcave. Bruce. He's still on probation, one foul and I'll kick him out. He said, leaving Alfred in the cave. He approached the Bat computer monitor and saw a new folder. Alfred. Arkham Knight, he wondered, looking at the folder on the Bat computer. Until then he would receive a call from a number he hadn't seen for years. Alfred. Miss Holly, how have you been? Everyone was sitting watching the blue sphere, where several of them had a question. Aizawa. Who the hell is Holly? Midnight. I told you that teaching him those songs with Argentine language would affect me. Present Mike. Sorry, the blonde said, scratching his neck. The presence. The person known as Holly, is the partner of the first Robin. Aizawa. Oh, Mina. So we'll see it right away. Toru. I want to know what it's like. Shoto. And I don't even know who he is anymore. I ruled out all the Robins in the comics and I don't even know who he is. Said the bicolor, frustrated being seen by his family. Ryoka. I think apart from Izuku we should have had another psychologist. The presence. As for what Miss Ashido said, if you see it today, so I better show you. He said, making everyone look at the sphere with curiosity. Place your bets, people. Who do you think will be the first Robin? It's not fair to give away the chapter greater than V. Are you crazy, Alfred? It was the scream that was heard in the mansion. About 2 days had passed since what happened at Arkham Asylum, where Izuku had become Batman's official partner. And currently, while Izuku was in the Batcave training and improving the equipment that was great, and Bruce left the mansion to go to Wayne Enterprises to solve something, Alfred met with a blonde-haired woman who had called him days ago to let him know of her arrival. Midnight. She sounds angry. Aizawa. It reminded me of you. Alfred. Miss Holly, I know it sounds bad, but... Holly. But, what do they want to destroy another boy than Jay? Alfred. No. Oh my god, no. Miss Holly, I know what happened with the young master a while ago was horrible. I don't want the same thing to happen to Izuku. Holly. Then why did they let him be Robin? They know what that entails. Alfred. I know, miss. At first I wanted Master Izuku to help Master Bruce and vice versa. Both have gone through bad experiences that no man should go through. I thought they would both find mutual support. Holly. And it was achieved. Alfred. They still started, but yes, seeing them, it's very similar. Holly. To the father and son relationship they had. Alfred. I know we can't repair the damage already done. Love Bruce in fact at first didn't want Master Izuku to even find out that he's Batman, but everything passed. Holly. Did it happen or did you let it happen? Alfred. Minimal details, but tell me, how are you? Holly. Furious, like me, he can't believe Bruce would put another child like him in danger. Alfred. I understand, could I call him? Holly. Stop. Alfred. I want to talk to him, apart from also talking to him about this Izuku thing and making him understand my point. Holly. You know that won't make him angry that easily. Alfred. I know, but I really want to talk to him and introduce him to Izuku. Holly. Stop. Alfred. I want him to meet him, to talk to him. I know he doesn't trust me or Bruce, but I want him to talk and trust Izuku. Holly. Well, although now that you mention it, it seems like Izuku wanted to be Robin. Alfred. He believe me, that boy has a sense of heroism greater than that of several heroes. Holly. MMHH. Whatever, I'll call him there. Alfred. Thank you. Several of those who saw this were impressed by the discussion. Now they understood the Arkham Knight's anger. It wasn't out of jealousy or anything like that. It was out of concern that something similar would happen to Izuku as what the country experienced with the Joker. Shoto. Well, Shinso. Realistically, something like this has already happened. Ako. When? Shinso. Well, we betrayed him and beat him up. Shoto. It doesn't compare to the torture he may have suffered at the hands of the Joker, but we must recognize that the feeling of betrayal and pain, both physical and mental, that Izuku suffered is no small thing. The bicolor said seriously, making it so that no one could contradict him and they could only agree with him. He said, watching as the blonde went out to the mansion's patio and talked on the phone. She was like that for a few minutes until she finally hung up and went back to where Alfred was. Holly. Okay, I'll be there in a few minutes. Alfred. Okay, until then. He said, approaching a cup. Alfred. Cafe. Holly. I missed your coffee. He said, taking the cup with a smile. So the blonde and the butler would talk for a few minutes until the mansion's doorbell rang. Alfred simply stood up and opened the door. Alfred. It's a pleasure to see you again, young master. Good to see you too, Alfred. The black hair said as he hugged the butler, who reciprocated the hug. Mina. Really, why don't you show us your face? I screamed, seeing that they were looking at the man's back and neck. The presence. Dramatismo. The presence said simply while taking some tea. Alfred. Okay, come in, I'll call Master Izuku. Izuku, is that a foreign name? Alfred. Indeed, Master Izuku is from Japan. I see. Alfred. If you'll excuse me, I'll be leaving. Alfred said as he activated one of the entrances to the Batcave and went down to see Izuku training with some robots. Nezu. They look a bit like the ones from the entrance exam. Power loader. It is possible that Midoriya built said robots with the help of Bruce and Alfred to train based on those from the entrance. He said, giving a logical reason for that fact. Alfred. I love Izuku. Hearing this, Izuku would stop training and see Alfred. Izuku. Alfred. Alfred. I need you to come up, there's someone you should meet. He said, to which Izuku nodded and both went up until they met the black-haired man and the blonde. So that's him. I see that the illusion technology is very good. Holly. It is true that it has a very distinctive appearance. He said, seeing the green hair and eyes along with the freckles. Izuku. Well, my name is Izuku Wayne. He said, introducing himself and extending his hand to both of them. Holly. It's a pleasure, Izuku. My name is Holly Robinson. Said the blonde, introducing herself. It's also a pleasure, Izuku. My name is John Blake. The black-haired man said, accepting Izuku's handshake. Shoto. Well played, author. Well played. The bicolor said too. Wait, what? Shoto. I mean, I'm high. Mina. So he's the first Robin. Toru. He's quite handsome. Mina. Yes. They both said without noticing the looks of Kirishima and Ojiro. Alfred. Well, young Izuku, as you know before you there was another Robin. Izuku. Yes, wait, maybe. John. I was the first Robin, Izuku. Izuku. Wow, it's an honor to be in front of you. Aye. John. He calm down kid. He said calming Izuku down. Inko. She still has that side of her. Her mother thought with a smile. Toshinori. It reminds me of when I met him. Izuku. Sorry, I'm just excited to be in front of the first Robin. John. Ah, that's what Izuku wanted to talk about. He said, calling the green-haired man's attention. John. I want you to stop being Robin. He said seriously, surprising the freckled man. Izuku. Why? By that point, both Alfred and Holly had left the room, leaving John and Izuku alone. John. Look Izuku, I know that being a hero seems exciting at first, but the reality is that it's something horrible. You'll go through things that won't let you sleep for days. You'll see and do things that will mark you for life, and they'll even do indelible things to you. The black-haired man said seriously. He didn't know if they had told Izuku what happened to him, but just in case he omitted it. Izuku. I know that, but that's what being a hero is all about, right? Helping everyone no matter what you do or what happens to you, you have to be there for them. He said, surprising John with the answer. John. Look, I know what happened in Arkham. You saw the kind of crazy people who were there. Do you really want to face those guys night after night? Izuku. Yes, they are not like the ones in my world, but that doesn't mean I'm going to back down. The students and teachers, upon hearing what Izuku said, could only smile with pride and admiration upon seeing that he didn't give up after what he went through. John. My world, what do you mean? Preguno surprised, leaving Izuku blank after having revealed to him just like that he came from another universe. Izuku. I'm high. John. Seriously, is that the best excuse you could come up with? Izuku. Yes, Shoto. I taught him well, said the bicolor upon hearing what Izuku said. John. Tell me, what do you mean by my world? Izuku. Well. So Izuku went on to tell John about his world, his quirks, and finally, he met All Might, one for all, his confrontations until his betrayal. John. Shit, and I thought that a world with more heroes would be safer. I guess the more heroes there are, the more villains there will be. Izuku. You wouldn't believe it, many of them were turned into villains by the corrupt heroes themselves. John. How did you know that? I mean, I doubt it would appear on the news that such a hero did something wrong and they let him get away with it just like that. Izuku. For a while, I did some internships with my ex-teacher Aizawa Shota. He was very similar to Batman, only with sleeping problems. During them we went to the slums where he told me about all that subject. Hearing that, several looked at Aizawa for confirmation, to which he nodded. Aizawa. Yes, I pass. I remember that I asked Izuku if he could help Shinso with his physical part, and in exchange I would take him to patrol under my tutelage. The black-haired man said calmly. John. I see you have experience in that. Izuku. A little bit. John. Tell me Izuku, can you use one for all? Izuku. No, I tried using it in my training to improve it or communicate with the former carriers, but nothing. John. That's weird, it seems like the trip could have taken it away from you, or you can't use it for some reason. Izuku. Maybe that's it. John. Well, now I want to ask you one last thing. He said, getting Izuku's attention. John. Why do you want to be a hero? Izuku. I want to help. John. Just that. Izuku. I know I could do it in other ways, but I want to protect others as a hero or vigilante. I just want this society to have a symbol of hope. I don't care what method I use, I want to help and give hope to those people. He said seriously, leaving John silent. Toshinori just listened and watched in silence. To this day, and recapitulating everything, he did not understand a thing. Why did she betray him? Even if he didn't trust him, he could have found another way to find out the truth, like asking Shinso to use his brainwashing so Izuku would answer all the questions and see if he was a villain, or he could ask the other wielders who could see what Izuku saw and did. But no, He simply didn't believe him and used his slight connection to the OFA as a former carrier to track him down and capture him. Toshinori, I think you're the only true hero I've ever met, Izuku. He said, looking at the sphere to Izuku while shedding a tear. John. Hey, you remind me of when I was a dwarf. The black-haired man said, smiling as he stood up. John. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you, Izuku. Before I go, take. He said, giving him a direction, confusing him. Izuku. It's your home address. John. No, go there at 12 o'clock, I want to see how you do it. He said calmly as they opened the door, letting Harley fall to the floor, being seen by Alfred with a smile. John. There is something called privacy, did you know? Harley. I couldn't hold back. John. Well, I'll save you the trouble of telling you about Izuku's world. Izuku. I'm surprised you believe me so easily. Harley. You don't know that much about this world, do you, Izuku? Izuku. No. John. Well, when you meet him you'll see why I say that you coming from another universe isn't the strangest thing. It was good to see you again, Alfred. Alfred. It was a pleasure to see you again, young John and young Harley. Come whenever you want, the doors of the mansion will always be open. Harley. Thanks, Alfred, we'll come more often. He said while John said goodbye to Izuku, and so they both left the mansion towards a car. Kendo. UW, are you crazy? Is that a world where beings from another universe can be normal? Vlad. Something tells me we'll know in time. Izuku. Why do you think he summoned me to that place? Alfred. I have a suspicion, but you'll see that. I'll tell Master Bruce that you will go to another area to investigate and he will go to another. Izuku. Do you think he'll leave you? I mean, he always wants me by his side to prevent anything bad from happening. Alfred. I'll tell him I'll keep an eye on him, he trusts me a lot. He said calmly, to which the green-haired man nodded. Thus night came to Gotham, where both vigilantes went in different directions. Where Izuku would go to the address that John gave him, seeing that it was the roof of a building. Robin. And why do you mention me here? That's what the green-haired man wondered until he felt someone watching him from the corner of a building next door. So he quickly threw a batarang which was caught by the person. Nice try, Izuku, he said. So the green-haired man turned around, seeing the Arkham Knight. But you still have a long way to go to take me by surprise. He said, leaving Izuku in shock, knowing who was under the helmet. Arkham Knight. But well, he said, jumping to fall in front of Izuku. Arkham Knight. Petrolamos. Robin. J. John. Arkham Knight. What gave me away? I asked the green-haired man in a mocking tone. Robin. B. But. Arkham Knight. Hey, stop stuttering. There are many criminals that we should put in Arkham or in prison, so let's go. I asked as I approached the edge of the building. Robin. Yes. He said as he threw himself from this. Seeing this, several were scared except the most sensible ones, who remembered that Izuku had a wife and children. Arkham Knight. Hey idiot, wait for me. I shouted as I followed Izuku. Robin. And who will we take care of? I asked as I swung through the bat claw. Arkham Knight. Irimo's poor Scarface. Robin. Just from the name I get the idea that he's a mobster. Arkham Knight. And you're not wrong, Robin. Nezu. That name reminds me of someone, but I don't know who. Aizawa. Wasn't it from a movie? Present Mike. Yes, but it was like 200 years ago. Midnight. And how did you manage to see her? Present Mike. When they remade it they also gave away a CD with the original. He said, making the purple-haired girl understand. Robin. But it's strange that you won't find him in Arkham. Did he escape? Arkham Knight. That's right, some patients instead of staying took advantage of the lack of guards to escape. Robin. Do you know who? Arkham Knight. As far as I know, the Mad Hatter and Anarchy also escaped. Mirio. Why do I feel like I'll hate the Mad Hatter? Aizawa. Why do I feel like my second job is calling me urgently? He thought, seeing a badge with the following logo. Robin. Just them. Arkham Knight. There were a few more, but those were crazy, not supervillains as they would be called in your world. He said as they both arrived at an abandoned building, seeing that there were several loose suits. Robin. It looks like a scene from an old movie. Arkham Knight. I thought the same thing. Robin. Okay, plan. Arkham Knight. It's very simple. He said as he took his pistols. Arkham Knight. Send them with St. Peter. He said as he broke the window and entered, falling on the table where everyone was gathered. Arkham Knight. Give my regards to the Joker. Thus, John would start shooting at the mobsters, killing them before Izuku's shocked gaze. Seeing them, many were also in shock, except for the professionals who had seen several times how some colleagues were shot or even fell in battle because of it. Robin. What the fuck are you doing? He yelled as he threw a batarang at the Arkham Knight's arm, disarming him. Arkham Knight. I'll take care of them. Robin. But you can't kill them. Arkham Knight. Why would you tell me something like, that's not what a hero does? Iida. Obviously not. Robin. No, this isn't about doing what a hero does, it's about us being able to trust the justice system. Arkham Knight. Kid, this system has failed too many people. Robin. And that's why we have to kill all the criminals. What happens if some of them can't get out of that business because they're under threat? Is that the message you want to give? Hey, let's kill everyone, no one's going to stop us. You're just going to encourage more murderers to see that they would get away with it and kill more people. They won't seek psychological help, they'll just do whatever it takes because, if everyone can do it, why can't I? Arkham Knight. Look, I understand your point, and you're right about something, we can't kill everyone, but there are limits that people cross, aside from investigating these people, they weren't under threat. Robin. So what, should I kill you? You're a murderer after all. Arkham Knight. Yes, you should kill me since I am a murderer, I will not deny it. The one in armor said seriously. Hearing the discussion between the two, several people also considered this fact, like All Might who remembered his greatest rival and how until now he was still one of the worst beings in the world. But I also thought that what John said may have been influenced by the Joker's torture. But then, Izuku's mask detected a heat signature that was on the Arkham Knight's back. Robin. Down, he shouted as the Arkham Knight quickly obeyed, thus both dodging a large amount of shots. Scarface. Wow, the new Robin and the new vigilante in one place. He said doll, which was being held by an elderly man. Power loader. Really, is that Scarface? Nezu. That world is full of crazy people. The presence. Seriously, don't tell me you don't believe it, Mr. Nezu. The presence said sarcastically at the director's obvious statement. Ventriloquist. S sir. Scarface. Shut up you idiot, as for you guys you better get out now. Fury as he continued shooting into the darkness where both Robin and Arkham Knight had taken refuge. Both would manage to leave the building without being noticed, leaving them to talk. Arkham Knight. Bien, Robin. I'm not going to let you kill him. Arkham Knight. Izuku, this guy is crazy. Robin. Yes, I notice, he seems to have multiple personalities, and that means he can recover if we take him to Arkham and get him treated. Arkham Knight. Want to know about Arkham? It's crap. It doesn't help anything, on the contrary, it makes you worse. Midnight. Chu says that because it really happens or because of the Joker. The presence. For both. That's what he said, but then they heard some shots. Scarface. Damn old man, get me up, they're outside. Quickly both would see how Scarface and the ventriloquist came out, but before they fired the gun, Izuku would throw a batarang that hit the gun knocking it to the ground. Following that, Izuku launched himself with the bat claw and kicked the ventriloquist in the back, knocking him to the floor. Arkham Knight. Huh, when did it move? It's faster than I expected. Robin. Okay, let's go to Arkham. He said putting handcuffs on the ventriloquist. Scarface. Damn useless, you can't hold me properly when I'm going to kill someone, you can't run without falling, something else you fail at. Ventriloquist. Excuse me sir. Scarface. Shut up, when we get out of there, you're going to see what's going to happen to you. Izuku and John just watched as the man spoke and Scarface's voice echoed, but they heard it coming from the man and not the doll. Kirishima. It's a bit like how Baku bro behaved with Izu bro. He said remembering the fights of both. Robin. I always wondered how they do those tricks. John. They're not that complicated, but let's go before they take away what little patience I have. Robin. In what car? I mean, I'm not going to drive them like Spider-Man to Arkham. Hearing this, Arkham Knight approached Izuku to whisper to him. Arkham Knight. Spider-Man is a hero from your world. Robin. Huh, no, he's a comic book character, I thought he existed here too. Arkham Knight. No, but well, as for transportation. He said, and in that, a black car would have arrived. Shoto. I want one like that. Endeavor. No joke. Robin. Phew, I need one of those. Arkham Knight. If you behave, when you turn 18 I'll get you one. He said as he got into the car. Robin. Hey, where do I put the ventriloquist? I asked, looking at the man who had his doll in his arms. Arkham Knight. In the back, it has a trunk that prevents the person from moving. He said, to which Izuku nodded so he could put it in the trunk and go to the front. Worse still, I would hear Bruce's voice through the communicator. Bruce. Izuku, I need you to come to the Batcave now. Robin. What's going on? Bruce. It's for something important. He said seriously as he cut the call. Arkham Knight. L. Robin. And, Arkham Knight. I see, well go, we'll talk later. He said as he started his car and drove off towards Arkham. Robin. I hope he takes him to Arkham really. He thought as he used the Bat Claw to communicate through the buildings until he came to an alley where there was an entrance to the Batcave. Cements. Do you really think I'll take him to Arkham? All. Nobody knew how to respond to that, although there were many who thought he was going to kill him. Thus, propelling himself with the Bat Claw, he would reach the cave seeing Bruce who was sitting and watching him with seriousness. Izuku. From your look, you can tell that Arkham Knight is. Bruce. John. Izuku. And what about? Bruce. What happened with the ventriloquist, Scarface and the mobsters in the building? Izuku. Yo, Bruce. I have no problem with you, Izuku, I'll talk to John about this later. Izuku. You and he talk. Bruce. Not for a while, but that doesn't mean we won't talk about what happened now and what happened at Arkham Asylum. Izuku. I see, Bruce. By the way, I need you to go rest and get up before 6:30 p.m. Izuku. I won't sleep that much, but why? Is it some special case? Bruce. No, today there will be a meeting at Wayne Manor to give birth to the project to modernize Gotham. He said, showing a hologram of Gotham but with more buildings. Izuku. I see, I'll stay around to keep watch. Bruce. None of that, I need you at the mansion for that and also to form your facade. Izuku. Facade. Bruce. You'll see tonight. He said seriously as he left, to which Izuku was confused but left to go to sleep. Inko. Why do I feel like it will hurt to see this? When he got up, Izuku followed his routine, breakfast, lunch, training and finally preparing for that day's party. Izuku. Okay, I'm ready. He said, looking at his suit, which was completely black but with a dark green shirt and a handkerchief of the same color in his breast pocket. Izuku's ex-girlfriends, seeing him like that, just blushed and felt sad because they couldn't see him like that on the day of his life with them if everything went well for them. Izuku. I'm not convinced about being so combed, but I guess for important things like this it's necessary. Alfred. I think it looks good on me. Love, Izuku, but we better go out. He said while Izuku nodded, seeing several people, some he recognized since Bruce had them in the Batcave folders and others he recognized from the news as influential figures in Gotham. Bruce. You're finally here. Bruce said, approaching. Excuse me, Bruce, but who is he? Bruce. Oh right, this is my son Izuku Wayne. He said, leaving the black-haired man surprised along with several people who heard him until Bruce said it loud and clear. Quickly the murmurs did not take long to appear about Izuku, who was in shock. Wow, I didn't expect this. It's a pleasure, young Wayne. My name is Lincoln March. Izuku. Gotham's presidential candidate. Lincoln. I see I'm famous. He said with amusement as he shook Izuku's hand. While outside the mansion the guards who were watching the entrance would fall to the ground with their necks bleeding and a black figure would fall on them. The only thing that stood out were some golden sparkles from his suit and his glasses, which were red. Everyone was impressed when they heard Bruce announce Izuku as his son. They knew that sooner or later he would announce that Izuku was his son, but they didn't expect it to be at that moment. Everyone who attended the party was shocked to learn that Bruce Wayne had a son. Many looked at the green-haired man with curiosity since it was obvious that his nationality was Japanese and not American, apart from not having any feature that makes him similar to Bruce. "Man. Excuse me, Mr. Wayne," said a man with gray hair. "Bruce. Tell me, Mr. Hammond." "Hammond. Well, I wanted to ask you about your son Izuku." "Nezu." "Hammond. Aizawa. Are you still traumatized by the Dinosaur Island incident?" "Nezu." "Hammond," said the white-haired creature in the fetal position. "Midnight. It did affect him." "Present Mike. He almost got eaten 4 times, it's obvious it's going to affect him." "Bruce. Oh yes, if it's because of his appearance, you can rest assured, his mother and he are very similar, apart from the fact that he got my mother's green eyes, and in case you still doubt it, I did a DNA test and yes, he is my biological son," he said, putting his arm around a shocked Izuku's shoulder. Hammond. "Oh, I see, an apology, young Izuku." "Izuku. No problem, sir. I would also have the same doubt if I saw that a person from the United States announced that he had a child of Japanese descent," the green-haired man said calmly. It wasn't the first time he heard of children of millionaires who want an inheritance or alimony, even though they are as different as possible. Momo's father. "That's true, on more than one occasion someone appeared at my doorstep claiming to be my son or my lost brother." Momo. "Really? Momo's father?" "Yes, it was too annoying," the black-haired man said, making the younger Yaoyorozu wonder if she would go through something similar in the future. Bruce. "Well, Izuku, Lincoln and I have to talk about some things, so why don't you go and talk to some people and overcome your shyness?" he said as he pointed out a group of girls in their 20s, leaving Izuku in shock. Ako. Did he publicly announce that he was her son at that party so he would go talk to girls? Shoto. I don't know what will happen first, if he will die of shame or dehydration. Katsuki. Why dehydration? Shoto. I'll tell you later. Bruce. Good luck, son, he said, leaving Izuku, who was quickly approached by said group. Izuku. Te maldigo Bruce Wayne. Shoto. Well, suffocation too. Katsuki. Asphyxia. The bicolor only saw the sphere where Izuku was dying of embarrassment and surrounded by girls with their breasts very close to him. Shoto. Are you blind not to see? Con Bruce Y. Lincoln. They had both gone out to the terrace of the mansion where they could see part of Gotham City. Lincoln. I'm surprised you had a son. Bruce. I had a very crazy time, he said, smiling smugly, although from afar he saw how Izuku was as crazy as a tomato with the group of women. Bruce. There's a lot I have to teach you. Inko. My son, he didn't become a womanizer, right? The presence. In this dimension. No, Inko. Wait, this dimension. I mean in others. Shinso. Shut up, I want to be watching for sure. Lincoln. Changing the subject of your son, I wanted to propose something to you, Bruce. Bruce. I'm not one of those Lincolns. Lincoln. I'm not talking about those proposals, I mean I want your support for my presidency. Hearing this, Bruce would look at him with seriousness and curiosity. What Lincoln was asking for was not something to be taken with Bruce's mask but with Batman's. Lincoln. I want to help this city just like you, he said, looking at the black-haired man with blue eyes. Bruce. Well, if that's it, he said, taking out his checkbook to give some money as support to Lincoln, who returned it to him. Lincoln. No, Bruce, all I want is your vote. Bruce. You know, you're the first applicant who's approached me in all these years. Lincoln. I'm interested in your renovation project, and to be honest, I see a friend in you. When I was a kid I also lost my parents. I don't remember the drunk driver who caused the accident, but what I do remember is the heart-shaped brooch my mom had. Lincoln. For years, I hated the world, but this city saved me just like it did you, he said, but at that his voice changes from a calm one to a little more serious and with some fear. Lincoln. Listen, something ancient has been resurfacing in Gotham in recent years, something powerful in. But before either of them could say anything, they were grabbed and taken to the roof of the mansion. Seeing this, many were surprised to see how both were suddenly taken to the roof. Bruce looked up and saw a man dressed in black with gold that resembled an owl. At that, Lincoln is quickly knocked out before he can see his attacker, leaving the millionaire facing the assassin. Bruce Wayne, the court of the booze has sentenced you to death. At that, the guy in the booze suit launched himself at Bruce who, by inertia, put his arm out to avoid being stabbed directly in the eye with a dagger. The millionaire knew perfectly well that he couldn't win. He could show off his diverse knowledge in martial arts, but that would only serve to reveal that he is Batman, apart from the fact that there was still the issue of the party. The man saw how the assassin took his daggers again, but this time he threw them at Bruce, who dodged them with difficulty, some of them managing to break his suit and therefore cut him. But then Bruce swept the assassin's feet and, taking advantage of the inclined surface of the mansion's roof, managed to make him retreat quite a bit, almost making him fall. Quickly, Bruce would see an opportunity and took the daggers that were thrown at him to return them, only keeping one paw to analyze it, being that the rest were stuck in the body of the assassin who would fall from the roof to the courtyard of the mansion. While Bruce took Lincoln and called Alfred, telling him they were on the roof. Kendo. That feeling was very good in martial arts. Ojiro. But also with weapons, but what was that about the court of the booze? He said what many remembered what the man in the black suit said. As time went by, Bruce began to feel ill, his vision becoming more and more blurred. The last thing he could see was Alfred reaching the roof of the mansion. Aizawa. Veneno. Midnight. You think, Aizawa. I've been in the underworld, it's nothing new that criminals use poisoned weapons either to paralyze or kill their opponents. Recovery girl. That's true, several times Shota came to see me to heal his wounds and the poison he had in his body from the villains he faced. With Izuku, the green-haired man managed to stop being the center of the group, to quickly go look for Bruce. Izuku. Shit, my existence was supposed to be a secret, now I'll have to be at these millionaire events. I think now I'll know why Yaoyorozu complains so much about them. Momo's mother. Is that true, daughter? Momo. Yes, I hate those events. Momo's father. Me too, daughter, me too. He thought as he continued looking for Bruce, but he also noticed that Alfred was nowhere to be seen. Izuku. This is weird, neither Bruce nor Alfred being at the party means they must be in the Batcave. He said to go to another room where there was an entrance, but he would crash into someone. Izuku. Hey, excuse me, miss, it wasn't my intention. He said, helping the woman to get up. Calm down, kid, I'm fine. Wait, are you Izuku Wayne? I asked, emphasizing the boy's last name. Ryoka. Do you think I tried to hurt him? Akko. He put a lot of emphasis on the last name, perhaps he is accompanying that guy who attacked Mr. Wayne. He said what many worried if that was true. Izuku. Yes, it's me. The green-haired man said, thinking it would be another annoying rich person. Wow, you don't look much like your father, but you did inherit your grandmother's eyes. Izuku. Did you meet her? No, but I have seen it in the paintings around the mansion. Hitsumi. But there are no paintings at that party, how did you see them? Izuku. This is weird, we always take out the paintings when there is a party to avoid them getting damaged. Although I see that you inherited his luck with girls. He said with amusement as Acer remembered Izuku with the group of women, giving the freckled man a shiver at the memory. Izuku. Excuse me, but could you tell me who it is? Oh sure, my name is Selina Kyle, Izuku. The woman said, looking at the green-haired man and leaving him surprised. Outside the sphere, everyone was also surprised to meet Bruce's ex-wife. Izuku. Are you my father's ex-wife? Selina. I see he told you about me. Izuku. Actually, it was Alfred. Selina. It's still the same as it was years ago, huh? Izuku. If you're referring to how closed it is. Well, more or less, but tell me, what are you doing here? Selina. I'm just enjoying the party and I also came to talk to him and you about. He said, looking sideways to make sure no one was listening to them. Izuku. Robin. Selina. I guess it goes without saying. Aizawa. It's surprising that she knows, although knowing that she was with Bruce for years, it's logical to think that she knows he's Batman and therefore what happened to John. Izuku. I assumed that you, being my father's wife, knew about his double life. Selina. Yes, I knew it since we met. Izuku. I see. Selina. But the strange thing is not having seen him like Alfred. Izuku. He noticed too, huh? He was just about to go to the Bat Cave. Selina. I'll go with you, I have a bad feeling. So they both retreated to the Bat Cave, where upon arriving they saw Bruce lying on a stretcher in the medical wing and Alfred looking at a tablet. Izuku. Alfred, what happened? Alfred. Young Master. Master Bruce and Mr. Lincoln March were attacked, and the weapon that attacked Master Bruce had poison, but don't worry, it has already been neutralized and he needs to rest. Izuku. For whom? I asked, but Selina saw the dagger that had a buo engraved on it. Selina. The Boo's court. Hearing her, Izuku would turn around in search of answers while Alfred would be surprised. Alfred. Miss Selina, it's good to see you again, and yes, they're back. Izuku. Excuse me, but what are you talking about? Selina. The Court of the Boos, according to Gotham myths, was a secret organization that ruled Gotham from the shadows. Izuku. Like the Illuminati and the reptilians. Alfred. Yes, that's why I didn't want him to go to an orphanage. It is said that they kidnap children from orphanages who end up becoming their personal hitmen. Selina. Bruce and I faced them years ago, but they disappeared after that, but I see they're back. Izuku. Oh, they were always there, but they just kept themselves even more secret. Toshinori. They're like the League of Villains, only instead of having nomus they have highly trained assassins. Shoto. Or something more like it, a Latin American government. Elsewhere, John, who was in his Arkham Knight costume, could be seen looking at the corpse of a man who had several signs of torture, along with the fact that the attacker had left said daggers stuck in him. As he got closer to the man, Arkham Knight saw that the daggers had a Boo logo engraved on them. Arkham Knight. I must warn Bruce. To be continued. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.